Hello, everyone. I hope you guys can hear my voice. This is Som Komalafe, the CEO of the Afro in the Aspiral Center. And I'm here today. We are kickstarting. I'm just having a chat before we kickstart our launching today. So at 2 p.m., we will be launching our. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys can hear. So at 2 p.m., we are going to launch projects, which is the AdcenterWeCare initiative. So let me tell you a little bit about what the AdcenterWeCare initiative is all about. The AdcenterWeCare initiative is an initiative that we came up with as one of the service supports that we are going to be providing within our own community for people that might have experienced suicide or thinking of suicide, contemplating suicide. So the support service will be there to support families and friends, both adults, young ones, and kids that might have any reason to experience it or might have experienced it or thinking of doing it, or that they are at an age whereby they are confused or they have any suicide thoughts. So we're going to be working closely, directly, closely with young families and adults, not just young people, adults, youths, and kids that might be a victim of that or might have any thought with regards to that. Our service mainly would be to have a one-to-one direct contacts with the people, the person that will be who is having the issue, and we're open to have services that will support them either during the time or before the time. So it will be a direct service, it will be a one-to-one service. We're looking out for allies within the health sector, within the different sectors, within different organizations. We've already started contacting organizations that are already doing the same similar service like we're doing. But the difference between ours is that ours is going to be a more cultural appropriate services, because it will be directly with people within our own community, within the African Caribbean migrant community that we believe we need the services, and we can provide those services specifically to them. This project is funded through the Meads Community Art Fund. They funded this project, the Meads County Council, under the Meads Community Art Fund. This project is funded. So you see the logo, if you look at the flyer that I have there, you see the logo there of the Meads County Council. And it's funded through the Meads County Council Community Art Fund. They partly funded in collaboration with the Art Center, which is a Afro in the Aspiral Center, which I'm the CEO and the founder of that organization. So the project is partly funded with the two organizations. We are also collaborating with Pathways International Mission. Pathways International Mission is also an organization that is based in County Meads, and they will be collaborating with us in delivering these services within the county. So we are working alongside with them to deliver the services. So we are looking for assessment respondents. So if there's anybody that came across this video and you feel that you will be able to support us in providing these services as a assessment respondent, we are looking for people like that. We will provide trainings for those people. So we're looking for people that might feel that they will be interested to come on board and join the team in providing the one-to-one services. So our details will be on this video. You can always link up with us, and then we can provide every necessary services that you might need. support we give you, so that we can link up with you to be able to provide the support that you might be willing to offer to us. So if you are an organization and you want to create a collaborative effort with us, you want to be one of our allies, our details will be there. You can always look for us on Facebook or our website of the African Diaspora Center. You find us on Facebook, Twitter, and you can link up with us, and then we will be able to avail with you some of the services that we are hoping to provide. So today is a celebration for the launch. We're having speakers. We're having 3 major speakers that will be joining us today to give us an insight into what suicide is and just to have more understanding of what suicide is all about. We also have 2 contributors that will be contributing to the conversation. We have our moderators that will be there also to join us in making the day goes on. I'm the chief host. I'm the CEO of the African Diaspora Center, and I'm the chief host of the launch for tonight, for this afternoon, and I'll also be delighted to have you guys. So while we're waiting, you guys can share with us, share with your friends, share with people, let them get to see what is going on and what's going to happen. So you can share for us. We'll be delighted if you can share it on all the social media platforms. So thank you for listening to me. And while you are waiting before we start today's event, I'll be delighted if you guys start sharing this for us. Thank you very much.
Hello, Miss Suzanne.
Hello, how are you? You're welcome on board.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm fine. And we, just to let you know, we are live on YouTube.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Abimbola. How are you? Okay, that's one of our speakers. She's just joining us. That's
Okay.
Dr. Abimbola Adetunji. Yeah,
Hello,
hi,
doctor.
Dr. Abimbola. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, is that Mrs. Komolafe? Yes?
Yes, this is Mrs. Komolafe. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, finally.
And thanks so much for supporting us on this. But just to let you to be aware, we are live on YouTube right now.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, just for you to be aware that we are already live on YouTube.
Okay.
I was doing an introduction, and then I'm trying to think if I should stop it and do all this introduction. But anyway, I think we will be fine. This technology sometimes.
Yes. It's a new world.
It's a new world that we are all now. Fiona, you are welcome. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Dr. Valmer is here as well.
You look amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're welcome on board, Dr. Valmer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are all live on YouTube. So let me just introduce you guys to our branch manager here in Carbon, which is JJ Mayukwa.
Hello, guys. Hello, my 2 beautiful doctors. How are you, ladies?
Hello.
Fantastic. Good to meet you. Miss Valma, it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah. So good to have you too as well. JJ, will you please just go on? I'm going to share it on Facebook now so that you can share it for us, and we can start inviting people to join us as well.
Perfect.
So that we can start building the audience for this evening.
All right, sorry, Mrs. Komolafe. Am I going first because I'll have to share my screen and I'm not sure about working this?
No, don't worry. Okay. Okay, to share your screen. Okay, I would have asked you to send me the. I'll figure out how to give you the chance to share it anyway.
Okay.
I'll check the settings so that I can give you the opportunity to share it.
All right, thank you.
Looking forward to this event.
Yes.
It should be exciting.
Praise God, yeah.
Dr. Velma, how are you being?
I'm on mute, so because things happening
Okay.
in the background. I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic.
Lovely to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely to have you on again.
I'm gonna go on mute because my husband's in the background trying to put a wardrobe together. So
That's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to go and check Dr. To see how I can get you to share your screen.
I think if I click on, let me just try. If I click on host disabled attendee.
No, I think you just click on share because I don't think I removed that you can't share. I have to look at the setting because there's a way. I think I've always set it that it's just us alone that can share because we've had a bad experience. But go to your share and see if it will allow you anyway.
Yeah, so it's saying that the host disabled attendee screen sharing. So you have to enable.
Okay, I have to stop my own sharing. Okay, good.
I'll try it again.
So I've stopped my sharing and I think you should be able to share yours.
It's not just stopping your sharing, you have to enable me as well.
I have to, I knew that. So I have to go to the setting because we've set it in a way that it doesn't allow others to be able to. So I've not started recording. So let me just go straight and try and resolve that for now anyway. Yeah, so I would have talked about this earlier, and I should have either.
I should have sent it to you on the email.
Yeah, so then if you had sent it to me, I would have been able to.
Do you want me to send it to you quickly on email?
If you can do that, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Because I know that for me to be able to let you share it now, I will have to go onto the setting now, and not that I can't do it, but I'm a bit afraid of
I understand
destroying everything.
I know. With things like this, I just leave it to either my kids or my husband.
Because I would be surprised if I end up just scattering everything.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that.
So yeah, so that's the only thing I'm trying to click the edit now so that I can edit it. It's not even allowing me to be able to edit it.
I'll just listen. I think I've sent you something.
I've not started recording so that we are aware of that. I'll let us know when the recording starts. So don't worry. Even though we are live on what do they call it? We're live on what is it? Okay, I can't remember what it is anymore for now. We're live on YouTube, yeah. What's
just I've actually sent it.
okay?
Just a correction. You know, you wrote Akintola. That's my maiden name anyway. So if you see Adetunji, that's my married name. So it's not an imposter.
Oh, that was what you sent to me anyway.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so sorry for that. That's
no, you're fine. Just the slides, like it's
yeah, because you see, when I actually saw your name on your screen now, I was like, okay, what name is that? Okay,
is an imposter. No. So I hope you've received it. I have.
Did you send it to my email?
Yes, the ad center.
Okay.
25 at Yahoo.
Good.
That's what I have on my phone.
Yeah, that's no problem. We had a bad experience, so we just stopped sharing, allowing people to share. So we have to know in advance to be able to set it so that you can share.
No problem.
Okay, so I've set it now that you can share. Have a look at it and see if it work. Let me see. I'll know myself it will.
No, it's still saying
okay,
disabled. But
okay.
if you have it, then
yeah, I've actually set it, but I have it. I'll go and look at it now. I've set it that you can share, but it's possible it doesn't. Okay, who can share? Yeah, who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Okay, for now I just save it for now like that. I don't know if it will take effect immediately, but yeah, I've set it anyway. Let me go and see what somebody is there waiting, so let me let that person in. I'm going to make you co-host so that you can let people in for now while I'm trying to sort something out. So I've made you the co-host so you can let people in, JJ.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So in case you see somebody there that wants to come in.
Okay, perfect.
Hi Sam, how are you? Sendil here.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Your hairstyle is very nice. Your hairstyle is very nice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You change your hairstyle.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you're saying.
You changed your hairstyle.
Oh, I didn't change. I just didn't have anything covering it today.
Oh,
so
that's why. That's why I did not see. That's why I did not see the hair long time. Okay.
Enable editing. Okay, that's good.
Hello, friends, everyone. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, good. Thanks. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good to have you on board.
Okay, thank you. Where are you from? Which place? Ireland.
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay.
Oh, that is JJ.
JJ. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Amibola. Is it?
It's Abimbola, but Abi is fine. I'm kind of used to Abi is fine for short.
You're from which place?
Yeah.
Amibola?
So I am in County Kerry in Tralee.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to Kerry. I really want to come to Kerry because Kerry is a lovely place.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
You should come.
That's
Susan,
what we were told. That is a beautiful place.
This place is so far that you'll be tired if you take the bus.
Yeah, it's a long distance. Yeah, like 4 hours.
If you drive, it's 3.5 hours.
I've been there once.
It will be more for me because I'm living in Cavan.
Oh yeah, it'll be more. It'll be more. Yeah, it'll be more.
But it's a nice place though.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, very nice.
So it's written doctor. What doctor are you? PhD is it or general medicine? Dr. Ambi.
You get to know a little bit.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Dr. Velma. Hi, Dr. Velma. Hello.
Tracy. It's 2 o'clock, so in the next couple of minutes we are going to kickstart. I'll just give us, let's say, 2-3 minutes, and then we start. Because we already agree we are starting at 2 p.m. But just to let few people come in, and then we can start.
Perfect.
Santi, you need to share for us on Facebook.
Okay. I already shared before, actually.
So I believe we are live on Facebook. So guys, you can share. I think we are live on Facebook. I hope so.
Well, it's saying live, yeah.
It's still not enabling me to share. So
yeah, I don't know why, but anyway, I have it. But I've changed the set. I've changed the setting. So I don't know why. Yeah. So I'm going to start the recording, if that is okay. Or I'll just wait a little bit and then I'll start it. I'm waiting on 2 of our guest speakers. One of them is here, Michaeline. She's here. So we're waiting on Professor Dr. Dalipa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michaeline Holdemarch. Hi, everyone.
Good to see you.
I want to apologize.
No, it's can't.
I came off another meeting and I wasn't going to miss this for the world. So I do apologize.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm just
okay.
trying to get Professor Rutimi to sign on now. He's having a little bit of difficulty, but he'll be on with us in less than, yeah?
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to put myself on mute for a minute.
Okay, good. Okay, just to let everybody to be aware, we are going to take pictures. So just to let everybody be aware, if you feel you don't want, just let us know. I will figure out a way of taking out your pictures from the. And this is going to be recorded. I'm going to start recording very soon so that everybody is aware. It's 2:05. I'm going to start the recording. So we are recording now, and to let everybody to be aware, we are live. We're still live on YouTube. Also, you can get to see us on Facebook as well, just for everybody to be aware of that. So to kickstart the evening, and I'm hoping that everybody is going to have fun today, even though I know that the conversation we're having this afternoon, we've been used to doing our events in the evening, it's a very sensitive one. And we have to be respectful of the fact that it is sensitive in that aspect. But I'm hoping that it's going to be a very engaging conversation for every single one of us, which we are going to learn from. I'm going to introduce you guys to our first speaker this afternoon. But before I do that, I'll give you a brief introduction to what this is all about. So I'll tell you, my name is Susanna Olatunji Komalafe. For people that might have just got to know me for the first time, I don't think so. I think everybody here seems to know my name, but people that might be watching, I'm the CEO of the Afro Diaspora Center. It's an organization that has been set up since 2010, and we do a lot of different works. We basically focus on supporting the African Caribbean community here in Highland. It's a national organization. We work in different counties. But our main focus is on is actually supporting African Caribbean community. Tracy, you're welcome. So that is our main focus. But we also work with migrant community because integration is the core value of what the organization stands for. So we work with migrant community, we work with the host community, because that is the only way we can facilitate integration within the community. But we mainly support services that are more of within the African, because we felt there's a need for that for our own community for us to be able to support each other. So, and to this afternoon, I have my branch manager in person of JJ. MK is the branch manager for the County Cavan. We have like 6 counties that we have managers. We have in Donegal, we have Cork, we have in Meath, and I think we have in Donegal. But this afternoon, we have JJ with us. So JJ will introduce himself later on before we kickstart. This project, we've been thinking of doing this project for quite a while. And we put in an application last year. We've been trying different funding, but we've not really got any big funding to be able to do this project. But because it's something that is really dear to our hearts, and because of the recent things that have occurred within our own community, we felt there was a need for us to kickstart the project, whatever the case might be. But recently, as we were planning to, was it 2 months ago or so, we got a call from one of the people we applied for funding for, which is a county Meath. For those of us that lives in Ireland, I'm sure you really understand that we have 32 counties. So Meath is one of the counties. Meath approved a very token amount of part funded to this project. So we are an organization that is run by volunteers. A volunteer does main thing. So it's a very small money, but at least we felt that it gave us the reason to, at least know that they are willing to support us. So we are hoping that as time goes on, if we can show the value and the need for this project, we will be able to secure the kind of funding that we really need for this project to be able to be effective. It is going to be 2 phases. We are going to be creating awareness on suicide within our own community, but the way we are creating the awareness is meant to be cultural appropriate, in the sense that we tailor it to suit our own culture, our own cultural background, and the beliefs and values that we have within our own culture, so that might affect some of our young people experiencing suicide or thinking of suicide, so that we can address that. Even though we know they are within the Irish community, we will take that into consideration. But because we live with them every day, so we are the first experience that they ever experience from their own cultural background. And that is the reason why we said the inch we have here is that it's going to be tailored in a way that is culturally appropriate for the young people, for our young people and adults. So it's not a young person project, it's for both adults, young, and adults, young, and kids as well. So so we're also going to provide a service support. So apart from creating the awareness, having this conversation nearly all the time, just to generate a lot of awareness, forming collaboration with other organizations that are doing things that are similar to what we are doing, we also want to provide service support. And this service support is going to be a one-to-one support. So we are looking for allies, people that like yourself, doctors, people that are professional working within the is it NHC or something like that in UK?
NHS in UK.
Yeah, and then HSC, HES here, whatever it is here, headboard here. So, and also we've been talking to other established organizations like the SOSAD, like the PELTA, like Jigsaw, like the Family Support, different established organizations that work with families to see how we can form alliance with them, so that when things happen or people come to us, we can also go to them to see what they can do to support the service itself. So these are all the things we are thinking of doing. Our one-to-one is going to, one of the things we're going to be doing in one-to-one is that, when somebody, let's say for a family experienced suicide, we can go into the house and sit with them. We can visit them. We can help them with cooking, all the little things that they need to be able to get through that time. And we also want to be there when everybody is gone, when the families are gone, when the friends are gone. We want to be, a call away for them, that they know that we are always there. So we are looking for assessment respondents, people that can be respondents, that can work with us, that can register as volunteers, and that we can provide trainings for them through all this kind of a platform, and so they understand how they can work with anyone that might have either thinking of it or experiencing it. And our main focus, and the reason why this project started, was that we wanted to focus on siblings. So if it is a family, we wanted to focus on the siblings, because we felt that when things like this happen, everybody focus on the parents. If it is a child, they focus on the parents. But the siblings suffers a lot. And then they forget the friends, because these young people, if it is a young person that commits suicide or that might have attempted, they have friends in their lives. And the friends, they do suffer a lot. And we've seen cases recently whereby because of one friend did something, the other friends feel it's okay for them to do the same thing, because it opens the door to them. They feel that, oh, now I can do it. So we wanted to start supporting friends, siblings that might be involved. So if it is an adult, we want to meet up with their friends. We want to see how they are feeling. We also, there's something we feel that the larger community are not looking into, and that is the religious aspect of it. Now, we are aware that within our own community, most of us carry this religious faith. Either you're a Christian or you're a Muslim. But we believe that within our own community, a lot of people practice this religious faith, and they already have bias and stigmas that we've carried along with ourselves, either before coming into Highland or that through our faith we've carried. And those burdens are very heavy in our hearts when things like this happen. So we want to be able to support those families, to be able to find a balance between their faiths and what is happening, to face the reality of what has happened, and to see how they can deal with it, so that they don't carry that burden with them as well, or they don't start resenting that child. If it is a child, we don't want them to resent the child and feel that, oh, she has committed an abomination or something. But we wanted to see how we can support them to find a balance between their faith and what has happened, and to understand that when things like that happen, the person who is a victim, they are not in a place whereby they can comprehend what the religion, whatever their faith is, or what is the reality of what is happening to them. So this is these are all the things we are hoping to do with this project. And I'm hoping that for every single one of you that are here today, you will be able to support us in achieving what we are thinking of. So again, I'm going to welcome every one of you. I'm going to welcome, I can see that we have Professor Rotimi, is it Jayesimi? That name, I'm sure is from, if I'm right now, Jayesimi seems he's from Nigeria, and I'm sure he's from either Osun State, because the name is very familiar to myself. I've never met him, but it's good to have you here, Professor Rotimi. Trisha, it's good to have you here today as well. If you guys will be happy to show your face, I don't mind. When you're ready, and if you're comfortable enough, let us see your face. Santi, I've welcomed you already. I've welcomed you. Makeline, Odell, thank you so much. It's really, I'm so delighted to see you here. Trish, I'm so delighted you were able to make your way to us as well. And JJ, thank you everyone. I'm still expecting one of our major speakers and one other contributor to join us. I'm expecting Professor Dalipa. I just spoke to him. He should be joining us soon. And I'm expecting also one of our contributors, which is Najio. She's going to be telling our own story and our own experiences as well. So I'm hoping she's going to join us very soon. So thank you all. So I'm just going to go straight and introduce Dr. Abimbola Adetunji. She's going to be our first she's going to be speaking to us firstly today and just taking us through what it is. While I'm getting to bring her on, JJ, do you want to say something for just a minute while I'm trying to prepare myself? So thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, hi, everybody. As Susan mentioned there, I'm the branch manager in County Cavan. So I work with Susan, and not recently just joined the group. So it's been phenomenal, phenomenal working together with her. So looking forward to coming projects together as well. And you are all welcome. And I'm really excited to hear your point of views and within what we are planning to do and planning to achieve regarding the suicide among young people, adults, whoever, it doesn't have age for suicidal to commit suicide. We need support from each side and each angle to help each other. It's not a light subject that we're going to talk about today. So I'm looking forward to hear your point of views and your participations. Thank you.
So thank you very much for that. Now, for me, just let me go ahead and introduce you guys to Dr. Abimbola Adetunji. Is a general practitioner at the Old Spark Medical Center, Tralee, County Kerry, here in Ireland. She's also a member of the Royal College of Physicians, Ireland, and enjoy mentoring and giving her talks. Dr. Abimbola Adetunji is a general practitioner with over 20 years professional experience in Tralee, County Kerry, and both in Nigeria and here in Ireland. She became a member of the Irish College of General Practitioners in 2018 after completing her training in the Southwest GP training scheme, in which she won the award for the best audit in 2017 and the best research project in 2018. She's a member of the Royal College of Physicians, Ireland, hold a diploma certificate in tropical medicine, medicine for the elderly, cerebrovascular and stroke medicine. From the Royal College of Physicians, Ireland, as well as our Bachelor of Medicine from the University of Benin in Nigeria. Also, she holds a professional certificate in health management practice from UCD Business School here in Dublin. So she studied both in Nigeria and here in Ireland. Dr. Abimbola Adetunji, we welcome you on board, and I'll go straight and showcase your, thank you very much for coming to share with us today. So I'm going to show your screen.
Thank you.
And I'll walk you through it, so don't worry. If you need me, yes, I'll get you the slide for you.
That's fine. Can I go ahead?
Exactly, you can.
Okay.
You can.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. You said hi at the start before even the recording. I'm so happy to be on this platform. Just want to thank Mrs. Komolafe and Mrs. Olaniyo was actually the person that linked us together, to thank them for this opportunity. It's always a privilege and I'm not going to take it for granted. In everything, I start, even though I'm a doctor, I'm a Christian first. And I just want us to say, you know, a prayer for a minute. Father, Lord, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. It's always a privilege to learn at your feet. Father, Lord, we ask, oh Lord, that you open our ears of understanding and our eyes as well, and our brains, that we will take in everything that we're supposed to take in, and we will be doers, not just listeners, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Thank you very much for all the introduction. Basically, I'm a general practitioner in Oak Park Medical Center here in Tralee. And as you can see, my training would have been general internal medicine and geriatrics and also mental health as well. So after geriatrics, I think I kind of had, for family reasons, to go into GP, also because I wanted to make more of an impact, because with geriatrics, it was really elderly people, 65s and over. Now, this topic, I mean, cuts across board. So, but being a general practitioner, you can kind of make more impact because you meet people right from when they're babies till the very extreme of age, if you get what I mean. So we're talking, as Mrs. Komolafe said, we're talking about suicide today. And you know, it's something that everybody has come across. I'm sure everybody on this platform now has come across it one way or the other. Either, I mean, and it has affected you, maybe either a family member or, you know, a friend. And back in those days, we'll be like, you know, what can we do? What is it? And all that. And it used to be a stigma, but all that is changed now. People know that it's real. It's not something that is far-fetched anymore. So it's a delicate and sensitive topic. So we just, you know, we just need to make people more aware of it, because in my job as a general practitioner, I feel that the more people are aware of it, the more help we get in order to stem this phenomenon. So we look at it, what is it? I was just curious, where actually, I know it's an English word, but where did it originate from? Like, we know the definition, but where did it originate from? And as we know, most English words originated from Latin, and suicide originates from the Latin word suicedere. I had to put it on Google to learn that pronunciation. I have no background in Latin whatsoever. Before anybody says, oh, I should write a book in Latin or something. And the suicedere actually means intentionally killing oneself. That goes without saying. That is what we have seen. But the definition in itself of suicide, it is an act with a fatal outcome, and it is deliberately initiated and performed by that person, the person in question, in the knowledge or the expectation of its fatal outcome. So a completed suicide or a successful one has a fatal outcome. That is different from a suicidal attempt, in which case the attempt may be unsuccessful or abandoned or stopped before the completion. Now, it is a global phenomenon, so it cuts across board. It's not that it's, you know, limited to my own country, Nigeria, or limited to Europe. No, it's all across the world, the European continent, the Asian continent, you know, America, everywhere. There's no country where suicide has not happened at one time or the other. And, you know, went ahead in terms of the data. The World Health Organization data says between 800,000 and 1 million people, approximately 1 million people die every year globally from this global phenomenon called suicide. That translates to one person every 40 seconds. one person every 40 seconds. Like we've been on this platform now since, was it 2 o'clock or slightly before 2? So you can imagine every 40 seconds. So over 100 people, or even 200, if my maths is still, accurate as it was in secondary school, would have died. So it is time. We should have even started this a long time ago, but it's never too late. It's the 10th leading cause of death globally. And it's surprising that within the age group, this patient cohort, 15 to the 29-year-olds, it's actually the second leading cause. Now, we all know that saying that says that, the youths, the younger generation, they are our future. So if it is the second leading cause of death among the 15 to 29-year-olds, where is our future generation? Where are our leaders to be? There's so many things, the 15 to the 29-year-olds. So we have to do our best to curb it at this point in time. You might say, okay, what is the Irish data? We're in the Republic of Ireland. I don't know the data in Nigeria because, record keeping is something else. But where we are right now, Republic of Ireland, what is the scenario? From the Central Statistics Office, the CSO, we know that 421 deaths happened in 2019. That's by the end of 2019. So it's at the end of the year that we get the statistics. And the highest overall suicide rate was in Limerick City. Now, this is very different from when I was training in general practice. About 3 years ago, County Kerry had the highest rate. It was so bad that there was a suicide watch. And then after Kerry was Cork. But as at 2019, it's Limerick City. And I just put the graph there in terms of showing the distribution of the number of people according to the ages. And you can see less than 25, 63. But the greatest number seems to be between 35 and 45 years old. Greater than 85, there were still 2 people who committed suicide. So being old doesn't necessarily mean that they cannot think of suicide or go ahead and attempt it. In Limerick City, I can tell you, there's a group of Suicide Watch. They parade, there's a pier there that when people who have thought of suicide or want to attempt suicide, they jump off it. So there's a Suicide Watch there, day and night, because as I said, they had 22 deaths per 100,000, in 2019 alone. Now, I thought it would be important in terms of, mentioning risk factors. We all know some of the risk factors, but I just felt it would be good to educate us, highlight it, once again. I divided them into the biologic risk factors, psychological, environmental, and social. Biologic, just simply the gender. Being male, apologies to all males on the platform, but being male is actually a risk factor for suicide. When we talk about the psychological risk factors, if there's a history of mental illness, or there's a family history. Now, mental illness that I'm talking about is depression. We all know depression, the rates have skyrocketed in recent times. Psychotic illnesses like schizophrenia, other forms of psychosis, even personality disorders. For the general practitioner training scheme, we have to do 6 months, at least 6 months in psychiatry. And there you're in hospital as well as going to satellite clinics to cover the clinics along with the consultant. So I was able to, some places as far as 1.5 hours away. I never knew Kerry was, that big, but I got to know my way around. And it really brought home to me that mental health is a very big issue, bigger than what I had envisaged when I was a hospital doctor doing, geriatrics. And I think that also kind of sparks more interest in looking at, mental health, especially concerning the young. Other psychological risk factors would be history of suicide attempts. If someone has attempted it before and the person did not source for help, or the person was not helped, the person is most definitely, more than 80% of cases, going to attempt the suicide again. Is not successful, continue to increase the chances of the person attempting it. If help is not sought until it leads to the completion of the suicidal act. If there's also a recent suicide in the community, in the county, or even in the nation, that is a risk factor. I remember last year in University College, Cork, there were, at least I came to know about 3 or 4 cases. One of them was from my country. 1 or 2 of them actually was from my country. And they didn't know the red flags, the warning signs, which I will talk about as we go on with the slides. But what I'm saying is that if there's been a recent suicide, there's a chances that it will happen again. Also, use of recreational drugs. Right now, the things like maybe diazepam, they have on the streets market value, benzodiazepines, Xanaxes, Lyrica, all sorts of things. Even the internet doesn't help much. Don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting the internet or anything like that. It does help in terms of educational things, but you can also order medications that are not prescribed by your doctor on the internet, like Xanax, diazepam, Lyrica. They have on the street, values, which is actually also contributing to higher rates of suicide, because all they have to do is just go on Google, order it, they get enough tablets if they're actually thinking of committing suicide, and then overdose on it. Other risk factors would be severe insomnia. I'm not talking about, say, 2 nights ago I didn't sleep well, or yesterday I didn't sleep well. I'm talking about a persistent state of sleeplessness. That can contribute, that is also a risk factor as well. And then hopelessness. Hopelessness seems to be more rampant in our 15 to 29-year-old patient cohort. That's my experience. I don't know about your experience as doctors, healthcare professionals. And then a risk factor that I find interesting is a recent discharge from a psychiatric hospital. So people feel that when a family member or a friend has been admitted in a psychiatric hospital, that when they get discharged, then they have their medication, then they are better, and then the suicide watch can, be dampened, or you can kind of throw caution to the wind that, they have the support. No. Research has shown that the highest rate of suicide for those who are recently discharged from the psychiatric hospitals is actually within the first 6 months. The highest is 1 month after discharge up until the 6 months. So it's good to know this so that we can tell, if we have friends who are affected or loved ones, that no, the siege is not over until after then. So it's good that the person has sought help, but you still have to be on the watch up until 6 months after discharge from a psychiatric hospital. Moving on to the environmental or social risk factors. If there's if the means is readily available, we all know, we hear the news in America that guns, more males, and they're committing suicide with guns. Now, the thing is that suicide, even though suicide attempts is 3 to 4 times more common in the female gender with females, the males are more likely to complete the act, the attempt, and they tend to use violent means guns, hanging. Whereas for females, they tend to use the passive means, which is mainly poisoning, overdosing. So in America, there's ready access to guns because of their own laws pertaining to, the use of guns. So that's high there. If there's a recent diagnosis of, an illness or chronic disease, had a patient once who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and all she could see was just the bleak future, bleakness, like no hope. She was actually contemplating suicide, but thank God we were able to see the warning signs and get on top of it. Even though she still has the ailment, she's more able to cope with it. Any stressful event like death of a family friend, member or a friend, end of a relationship, money worries, legal issues, they're all risk factors, and limited social support are all risk factors. It's not all bad news though, because we do have protective factors, against suicide. So I've seen if there are children in the house, like a colleague of mine told me about, must have been either a friend or a family member that wanted to actually commit suicide at home. And one look at the children in the house stopped that person from actually going ahead with the act. If they also have a sense of responsibility to the family, we are now in the age whereby, people are caring for their elderly ones as well. So they look at it, that might be a protective factor. If they have a sense of responsibility, they're like, who will look after, my parents or loved one? Pregnancy is also a protective factor. I haven't come across a pregnant woman committing suicide. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's one of the protective factors. Now, when I'm talking about this, I also talked to that patient cohort, 15 to 29, I said, it doesn't mean that you should now allow crisis pregnancy because you don't want to commit suicide. You have to, tease it out first. That if you're thinking of suicide, it's not by getting pregnant that it will prevent you. No, you seek help first. If you're satisfied with your life, not many people are satisfied with their lives, but what I say is that happiness is not necessarily having the best of everything. It is making the most of the little that you have. And that will lead to you being satisfied with your life. If you have positive coping skills, problem solving skills, if there's, availability of the social support, like what the organization Mrs. Komolafe is chairing. It's a wonderful organization. And even if there are 1,000 of that, even only in Republic of Ireland alone, it is still not enough, because you see that more than half of these cases actually need one-to-one. So you must have enough staff for it. And just like the problems in NHS, HSC, lack of, staff, we just don't have enough. And if there's a positive therapeutic relationship, say if the person is feeling sad and already has a counselor or a nominated person to talk to, that's also a protective factor. That person is less likely to go on to attempting suicide, talk less of, completing one. We'll go on ahead to assessment. Now, in terms of the assessment, first and foremost, I just need to highlight first that patient safety, the first thing that we do, patient safety. We have to make sure that the patient is safe before we even say we're going to do any assessment. I remember when I was a hospital doctor, I had a patient, patient came in with the parents, and the patient actually had, an object hidden, and was going to harm himself as well as all those that were in the interview room. So we had to press the alarm, button, make sure that the patient is safe. So we had to take the object from the patient, the knife, and make sure that the parents were safe. And also you, the interviewer, like you don't want to lose your life trying to save, someone else. So you have to make sure that the patient is safe and that they have the necessary support. So we were able to calm him down before we now started in terms of assessment. So there's the assessment of the needs, which is, comprehensive evaluation of, is it the psychological needs, emotional, the motivational. You also tease out, the risk factors there. And going on to the assessment of the risk. Basically, in the risk, what we're looking for is depression, because we do know that in those who are depressed, the rate of suicide is 13%. That's 20 times more than in the general population. We look for hopelessness and continuing suicidal intent. When we're assessing, there are those that say, oh, I have this suicidal ideations that just fleeting, they just come and go. But they're the people who have to watch out for those whose suicidal ideations are persistent. That's a red flag. There are various risk assessment tools. I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'll just, mention them. Different practitioners use different ones. There's the Beck's inventory, depression inventory. There's the suicide intent scale. There's the sad person scale. I find the sad person scale more user-friendly and easier. Even the family members can kind of, the ones that are kind of enlightened can look through it and even score it, and you'll be surprised when they bring their loved ones for assessment, they're telling you, I use this scale and this is it. So that accelerates your own assessment. There are new ones that are coming up, suicide trigger scale, but like I said, for the sake of this presentation, I'll just talk about the sad person scale. And it's basically, I think it's self-explanatory what the letters stand for, the gender, and we give a score of 1 if the person is male, if the person is less than age 20 or greater than 44, if depression is present. So when you're assessing, you know whether the mood is low, you see the speech is low, and all the other, signs that go with depression. If there's been a previous attempt, you give a score of 1. If there's alcohol abuse, misuse, dependency, or recreational drugs, you give a score of 1. If there's loss of rational thinking, obviously this comes into play when you're assessing and the person says, oh, I met President Higgins yesterday, something like that. And you know that, how is that possible when your mom said you slept at home? So definitely that there's a mental illness, kind of evolving. If there's lack of social support, or the person tells you, some of them are very good. They tell you that, I've already made this plan. I've been collecting tablets. I've been collecting paracetamol tablets and all that. So you're like, okay, this person has an organized plan. If the person is single or separated, divorced or widowed, is a score of 1. And like I mentioned earlier, if there's debilitating or severe or chronic illness, there's a score of 1. So what do we do when we kind of, in our assessment, that we've used this sad person scale? This is very easy to use. I find it easy to use when in my consultation in the GP setting. What do I do with it? We have guidelines, for it. If it's 0 to 2, after, you've assessed the risk and all that, you can still send home, but with safety net plans. If it's 3 to 4, you consider hospitalization based on certain other things. Like if they live alone, definitely you'll have to consider hospitalization, because there isn't really much of a safety net there. The person is going to be alone, and the last thing you want is for the person to be alone. If it's 5 and above, you definitely have to, recommend hospitalization for the person. And if you're getting a score of like 7 to 10, even if the person doesn't want to go, this person is already a danger to themselves. We can initiate what we call the involuntary admission, in which we use the Mental Health Act. That can be, a talk for a different day, but that is not as easy. It's easier said than done. Going forward, I'm like, okay, I'm saying all this. My own main aim is to educate, the public. Like I said, some family members and all that, they're not, healthcare workers, and they need something to help them, to be able to give them this responsibility, this sense of awareness that they can help. So there's a mnemonic that is called Is Path Warm? Now, this mnemonic was developed by the American Society of Suicidologists, And I find it very easy. And I've been, talking to patients who, come to tell me, oh, I think this, or I think that, or worried about a friend. I just said, you can actually use this. It's very easy. It's path warm, and it stands for the I stands for ideation. So it's a person, having the suicidal ideas, like, because when they have this, the first person they kind of go to, if they have a close friend, is the friend or a nominated family member that they're close to, and they're like, I thought of maybe killing myself or something. In as sensitive as it is, you need to find out more. Now, a lot of people are scared that by the time they start interrogating or questioning the person, they might increase, the rate of suicide, or they might actually push the person over the edge. No, evidence has shown that by interrogating or, teasing out, things from this person, you want to tease out the red flags. It doesn't push, it's not the one that pushes the person over the edge. No, you are trying to help. If the person is already on recreational drugs or a history of alcohol abuse, that's a red flag. If the person is like, I have no purpose on this earth, what am I living for? Or the person is very anxious. Now, I'm not talking about anxiety, say you're a bit anxious before you do a presentation like this. No, I'm talking about overwhelming anxiety that, the person is like, I'm not able to go out, or the person is having panic attacks, or the person feels trapped, feels there's no way out. This problem, say for example, financial crisis, there's no way out except if I kill myself, then the banks wouldn't be, coming after me and all that. That's not the solution, but it's a red flag. Hopelessness and withdrawal. So especially mothers, with all due apologies to fathers on the platform, mothers are the first to kind of, know that the child is withdrawing. You'll be like, oh, this child is not, behaving the way he or she should. I have noticed some, withdrawal. And then the friends, you make one or two, as mothers, very inquisitive and curious, they ask the friends, did you notice so and so person did? And we're like, yeah. So withdrawal from friends, from family, from society is another red flag. And then anger, rage, uncontrolled anger is another red flag. Or the person who would normally be a cool, level-headed person is now reckless, doing things, carrying out risky behavior, seemingly without thinking, that's a red flag. Or the person has dramatic mood changes. So I'm not talking about, oh, I just feel sad now and I feel happy later. No, dramatic mood changes that you can see. You're like, no, there is something definitely wrong. There's something definitely different here, So all this are red flags. And what I say, just going back to the risk assessment tools and all that, the sad persons, I tell the patients, so from experience, the patients who are worried about their loved ones, family members, are like, oh, I can't seem to score this or whatever. And I'm like, no, just use is path warm. And when they come back, if their loved one is a patient of our surgery, we try to arrange, like a meeting, or we can even do a house call without breaking patient confidentiality, that, oh, whether, your mom is worried about you, or there's just like, oh, I just want to see how you're doing and all that. Because some of them will not come, they will not come to the surgery. They just won't come to the surgery. And, at a stage when you're one-to-one with them, you just want to employ anything that you feel that works. So for those in the Christian faith, I have found, especially the young ones, when they're very anxious and all that, I just tell them, I just said, my Bible tells me, and I open it for them. I said, without, forcing, I don't force my religion on anybody or anything. I respect everybody. But if there's anything I know, like, Tesco, that says any little helps, what you want is for these people you want them to have a different mindset, which is not going to happen overnight. But each time that they come to every opportunity that you have the opportunity to, plant a seed. So I just tell them, I said, the Bible says that you should cast all your cares upon him. If you, another translation is cast all your anxieties upon him because he careth for you. Because at this stage, they're like, oh, my mom doesn't care, my dad doesn't care, my friends don't care, and all that. And I'm like, there is someone that does care, just to calm them down. And it's been also known to kind of diffuse certain situations. Now I'm talking about my experience. I don't know the experience that, you all might have with it. I'm sure you all have varied experiences. I have resources. These are the ones. Now there are various resources out there, but the ones that I have experience with are aware that deal with, the depression and people who have the bipolar affective disorder. The Pieter House, Mrs. Komolafe was mentioning that, working with allied organizations. Walk in My Shoes helpline, Samaritans, very good. They're 24 hours helpline. And then Teen Line as well, who are trained. The teenagers, they feel adults don't understand me. The adults don't understand us. They don't understand our problems. On Teen Line, they have trained, dedicated staff who are used to dealing with teenagers on a regular basis. So that's a very good one for them. I will just like to finish the talk with the next slide, if you don't mind, Mrs. Komolafe. And before anybody asks any questions, we feel that the children, the younger age, I'm talking about less than age 15, that they don't know much, about suicide. This poem was written by an 11-year-old. And well, she said her name should not be mentioned, so I'm not going to break that confidentiality. But it stemmed from the fact that her friend, so it's still in primary school, her friend told her that she was sad and she was contemplating suicide for an 11-year-old. And she wrote this poem to try to encourage her friend and felt that this would bring hope. So I'll just read it out. It's quite deep. It's titled Blue Blossom. It says, as the waves crash against the shore and the stars fall quietly, pink cherry blossoms crunch under my weight. Could I have been there? Why wasn't I there? I should have known it was going to happen. I was never enough to save her. The grass spins around me as the wind throws me around forcefully. The flowers turn green and the blossom turns blue. Then I remember where I am. I could never stay in a place as beautiful as that. I didn't deserve it. I step on the stool and place my head in the noose. All that was left to do is to tighten the rope. But something stops me. Something strong, something powerful. I can't hold the rope. What am I doing? I have so much I need to do, so much I need to experience. I have to carry on. I must carry on. I will carry on because I am Hilda Blue Blossom and I am strong. I thought that was very deep for an 11-year-old, and I had to ask, I hope you're not having any, thoughts. I said, no. I just wrote this to help my friend. And thank God the friend is on the road to recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much there. That was really comprehensive. I tell you, that was really comprehensive, full package. I'm going to take one or two questions from the people so that we can, I know you will be leaving us earlier, so just to, in case people, yeah, so if any, guys, you can, if you need to ask a question, just unmute yourself and then the floor is open for that question. Thank you very much, everyone.
Can I ask a question about self-injury? I must say it was a really excellent presentation, by the way, very
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
I just want to talk about self-injury, you know, the non-suicidal type of self-injury.
Yeah.
That progressively become, you know, worse. I was the associate director of 2 mental health trusts. And I was always concerned that self-injury, the non sort of suicidal, but just the continuous self-injury that takes place in so many different, and how we can sort of inform parents, inform families, loved ones, school teachers, that self-injury, I don't know if it leads to that, but the progression of self-injury and the impact it has. And if you would sort of talk a little bit about that. I just want to let you know, Tricia is here, Professor Rotimi. We are all part of the BAME Health Collaborative, and we're here to support, you know, this great, fantastic launch, and we're here to support. But however, I think we have to actually look at how we could support in some sort of articles and newsletter and whatever. And I think one of the areas that we are leading on, because we are a stakeholder with NICE, National Institute of Clinical Excellence, and we would like to support, especially with self-injury. Could you talk a little bit about that? I think it'd be.
Thank you very much for the question on self-injury, otherwise called deliberate self-harm, DSH. So I'll talk a bit about that, and I'll also talk about my experience with it. Parents make, there's no right or wrong about this statement I'm going to make now, but I'll just tell you, like I said, about my experience with it. Some parents feel that the deliberate self-harm is a way that their child or the children are seeking attention. Now, there are 2 schools of thought on that. The deliberate self-harm does not, like, they are harming. So deliberate self-harm, it could be the person, you know, slitting the wrist or just making marks on, you know, their arms or the legs, you know. For some people, they make it, they make the slits in noticeable places, and for some people, they hide them. Some people are in the bathtub or somewhere hidden, and then they just, you know, usually the deliberate self-harm is with either razor blades or with knives. Sometimes there are knives that are not sharp enough to lead to a fatal outcome. Sometimes there are knives that are sharp enough that the person intended just to self-harm, not really to kill themselves, but because they now slice it at the wrist with the radial artery in the groin, where the femoral artery, then it becomes fatal. When the parents come with their children, so I'm talking about this cohort now, and I'll talk about the older ones a bit later. And they're like, oh, she's just seeking attention, or he's just seeking attention. He wants the latest iPhone, or wants the latest trainers and all that. And they're like, oh, never mind. Or they don't even come with that complaint. They come in with maybe a cough or a cold, and then you are examining. So when patients come in like that, because I'm more aware in terms of the deliberate self-harm and suicide, especially in this patient cohort, I look also for signs. Now, some practitioners don't do that, but I look for signs, because I feel when you see it, even though they were hiding it from their parents, when you see it, they now know that someone knows. For some people, for some of the adolescents, it's enough knowing it to be a caution, to stand as a caution for them not to do it again. But having said that, the ones that will keep doing it will keep doing it. The most important thing is to find out from the person in question who is doing this self-injury or deliberate self-harm, why? Why? So when we try to tease out in terms of why, is it why because they feel unloved? Is it why because they feel they are not supported? Is it because their friends are bullying them? These are the cases that I have come across. Being bullied, primary school, secondary school, even some cases in colleges. I haven't come across a lot in colleges, but primary school, secondary school. So we need to tease out why, because as we all know in medicine, when you're able to stem the trigger, you're more or less halfway through finding a solution to it. How will parents be made more aware of this? Is by education, like a platform like this. Education, 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 because you only look for what you're aware of, what you're aware that exists. As we're talking now, do you know some parents or some people don't even know about it? Some people only know about suicide. They don't know about the self-injury that you just mentioned now, or the deliberate self-harm. Some parents don't ever feel that their children are being bullied, or nieces, nephews, you know, as the case may be. Some people don't even believe in bullying. Some people believe if you're bullied, stand up for yourself. If they hit you, you hit back. And no, that's not the solution. War is not the solution. About 10 years ago, within the last 10 years, I would say, if you notice in primary schools, secondary schools, they launched campaigns against bullying. As at maybe 25, 30 years ago, I don't think it was even heard in the schools. Not that it wasn't happening, but there wasn't an awareness and there wasn't a campaign. And we've seen that with that campaign on bullying being launched, it actually reduced the rate of bullying. And in some way, that has indirectly affected children who would deliberately self-harm. I can't remember there was a girl, I think in America also, who hung herself. I can't remember the name now. That was a good few years ago. And she had actually been in Ireland. She was Irish, and they had relocated. She had relocated with her mom and one or two siblings. I just can't remember the name now. And the bullying continued even in the American school, and she ended up hanging herself. Now, there were some stories that she had been self-harming, but that was only discovered after they did the autopsy and all that. So it had gone unnoticed. Now, I'm not using this to blame the mother, or I'm just using it to highlight the fact that you asked about self-injury. Self-injury, if it's repeated, if it's persistent and it's occurring repeatedly without the notice of an adult or someone else, yes, it can lead to death.
Thank you.
So in as much as oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was thinking that answered the question. Or
okay, so
did that answer the question?
No, that's absolutely. I mean, I certainly, I'm an advocate of information, and as we are going to work together closely in what you're doing, I think it's really important for people who are listening here to, they have children, those who are fostering, those who are adopting, and also the parents who have children who are at the moment deciding their gender and the right to do so. And also to recognize that in that gender transition, whether they be 8 or 7 or 9 or 10, that comes as well with a mental discussion and whether or not they are being bullied, what are the signs. We want children and the young people to be free in the society without limitations.
Yeah,
and in
definitely.
order for that freedom, we have to empower the people who are around them to give them the opportunity to be free, but also identify, you know, that self-injury as well. That's where I'm coming from.
Thank you so much for that. Do we have any other question, please? None. Are we sure there's no other question? Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I think it was more very comprehensive enough. I guess people had a lot to take in from that, and I'm hoping that the people that will listen to this we have a lot to take, and as well as us as well. You know, like I said, we are hoping to train people, and this is part of the things we are going to have to do. Because this is what we want to do, and we need to be well equipped ourselves to be able to handle situations like that. So thank you very much. I'm going to go straight to my second speaker for today. Hold on a moment now. Sorry. That shouldn't be me there now. So I'm going to go straight to you, Michaeline Order March. Did I pronounce that name very well? Okay, I'm going to just try and so yeah, Michaeline Gail Match is our second speaker for this afternoon. She's the founder of the BEM Health Collaborative, which is the BHC, and has worked with wide array of government agency, blue chip technology company, and purchasing coalition across the UK, and working on clinical negligence cases with leading law firms in the USA. Our professional interests focus on how technology healthcare providers and regulators can influence healthcare market to operate as effective and efficiently as possible. Michaeline has worked with various private and public organizations, clients on performance assessment activities, quality assurance, vendor management, chronic care model, medical, home strategy designs and implementation, reimbursement system designs, and the use of incentive to motivate desired performance. Our work has also included assistance with strategy, planning activities for system program prior to founding the BHC. Michaeline has vital influence on MHL's brands that include MHM Health Consultancy UK and Ghana and Business Solution. Now, Michaeline is going to talk to us about this BEM Health. We are hoping to form a collaborative effort with our organization, and she's going to share more light into that for us. You're welcome onto the platform, and thank you very much for this afternoon, for joining us this afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much. This is such an important topic right across the board. When you think about our acute and physical health, we know now that the mental health and well-being must work quite closely together with the acute services in regards to surgery, in regards to the well-being of patients before discharge, before admission. We need to have a much more integrated service than what we're currently offering. And the success stories with that goes on and on. The reason that BHC, and I'll come to BHC in a moment, is welcome this opportunity is because from a clinical perspective, we know that illnesses in the young is one of the triggers that could lead to depression and could also lead to the thoughts of suicide. And we are seeing now pediatrics wards. When I train, and I don't want to say my age, I'm being I'm being very yes. You know, pediatric wards used to be almost empty, unless of course you had a few. Now we have, the young people 11, 12, and you go on the pediatric wards and they have cancer, they have really, the illnesses that you used to really categorize in the adult aspect. And what we lack, and hopefully with your endeavors, is to have mental health advocates who will actually be part of that deliverable, will be part of that service, because they are isolated, and therefore they are actually going through puberty and all of that, and it's getting that mental health balance that, to help them through. Because I don't know the stats. I was trying to find the stats late last night in regards to ill health in the young people and suicide. I was trying to find something, and probably Dr. Atunje will be able to help with that, but I couldn't find the stats. And it's very important, because parents don't know what to do. They go and visit their children in the hospital environment, and they carry all the stuff, but there's a mental health aspect of that has to be addressed at some point. BAME Health Collaborative, which is known as BHC, so BAME Health Collaborative, was actually formed I founded the idea because I was concerned about the trajectory that the Black and Asian minority ethnic group health was heading towards, and it was heading towards poor outcomes. Whether we want to admit it or not, there is enough statistical evidence to support that. And what is it? Why it is that we are, our outcome is so poor? Why it is that when our elderly and our relatives go to the GP, we just don't tell them all the things that's happening to us? Why it is that we are on most of the waiting list for major surgeries, we are still on it, when there was the opportunity to go Europe for surgery? The BAME community never took those opportunities. We never pushed the boundaries. And I realized that something, you cannot be always reactive. You have to be part of the solution. And of all the years, I am very concerned that as a Black person, Black Caribbean, Black African, I'm always involved in the reactive aspect. There's a fire, there I am. I want to be proactive. How can we be proactive? Proactive is, for my thought process, was to actually come back to the decision makers for our health. Who are the decision makers for our health? Who decide these clinical pathways? Who design these clinical guidelines? What happens? Who sits on the table? So I brought it to some well-known trustees that I have known for a long time, with like-minded thinking, and those who are not even like-minded thinking, and brought it to them. So BHC is about policy, clinical guidelines, working to improve the health outcomes for our community. How are we going to do that? We are going to collaborate with organizations like yourself, so that when we are writing these articles, when we're working with pharmaceutical companies, when we are working with NICE, when we are working with international companies, that you can be a part of the table for that discussion. We are not going to be the expert group. We are just that group that's going to take the whole health agenda and actually say, this is the stronghold of that. We want to be at the table. We are not going to be sitting back anymore for you to decide that metformin is the only thing that Blacks can take, because we know now that in America, metformin for some of the Black community is carcinogenic. We know that now, when it's made by certain pharmaceutical companies. We know now, we discovered, Trisha is on this call, and she is one of our corporate trustee. We did a breast cancer, and we found out from this Ghanaian breast specialist that Black women should have breast cancer assessment at 40. We know now that hypertensive drugs works really well, certain of them for the Caucasian my brothers and sisters of the Caucasian population, but it doesn't work for us. We know we are more prone to stroke. So it's a whole wealth, even coming down to mental health. We are packed up in the hospitals. Why? And I tell you, our families don't even understand what mental health is. Some of us think it is something to do with some sort of necromancy, some sort of, our culture and our background make us think it is something that someone want to harm us first before coming to the conclusion that it is ill health. So it's about how do we do two things. One, sit at the table with the decision makers and help and ensure that we are participating when they are writing guidelines. Because we know for pregnancy, Professor Rotimi will speak and he will tell you, pregnancy, Black women more than likely to have preeclampsia and end up very ill or die at childbirth. Yeah? And how do we do two things? One, inform the public, meaning Black, white, Asian, everybody about our health needs. Two, how do we sit at the table to be able to draft what is best for us using specialists like Dr. Adetunji, Dr. Velma, Professor Rotimi, Trisha, who is a corporate governance best expert I've met, and all these people who are around the world who are doing great clinical trials and statistics. We've got Yemi Osibamo, who is the vice president of one of the biggest trial companies in the USA. Getting people like that with that wealth and expertise to come together to say to the government, that guideline is not going to work for us. So what are our quick milestones we did? We are now part of NICE, which was a big challenge. We are part of NICE. So NICE set us their guidelines, and Professor Rotimi, Trisha, a few of us, Dr. Samantha Truss, whichever the guidelines, we're going to look at it. And we hope that some of your people will also join us on that, because they have one or two for mental health. We'll look at that and say, no, that would not work for us. You need to go that journey for this group of people. But for us, we need a journey here. It needs to be a little bit more cultural sensitive, and we need another pathway. It's about that sort of discussion. The other part that we're dealing with is the employment aspect, the health aspect of lack of promotion, bullying, harassment. Not the legal operation of that, but the outcome of that, the mental well-being of health, Black and minority health professionals, and all professions. What is their health like, status like, from stress, bullying, lack of progression, and that sort of thing. Also looking at BAME gender, the gender issues around BAME. And I'm sorry to talk about it this way, but I'm very passionate about it, because in the BAME society, still, we ostracize people who say, well, they're gay, they're not so sure they're gay, whatever, and we ostracize them. They lose our family gatherings and all of that. We're not doing our community any good by doing that. And one will say, okay, then I'm born again. It's not part of my biblical studies. That's perfectly fine, but they are humans. And we have to make sure that we extend the branch of humanity. The judgment call is for the Lord. It's not for you. And you have to extend that, because we are going to have more and more people falling out to the society as we move into a much more virtual world. And BHC recognizes that. We recognize that people are spending more and more time isolated from communities, because they're spending more and more time on the computers. They date on the computer. They break up on the computer. They do everything on the computer. So for some, they have communities that they involve in, their church communities, brothers and sisters. Some people have their little music communities, art communities. But so for some, they don't have any of that. And we are seeing now, statistic wise, that during the Christmas period, from the time of October and coming to Christmas, we have people with huge panic attacks, very frightened, very lonely, because Christmas Day is the most frightening day of their lives, because they're absolutely all alone. And what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? So we're talking about solutions here. What we're going to do about it? What we're going to do about it is becoming much more community spirited, much more making sure that your organization is going to be added now to our database. When we're doing our webinars, we're going to invite you to come and speak, and your representatives to come and speak, because this is not our expertise, but we need you to speak about that so that you can actually share. We are in Parliament Week. We've been invited as an organization to be part of Parliament Week. We have partnered with the World Federation of Incontinence. And that's another thing, incontinence. Some men and women, when they discover that they have an incontinence problem, they don't go to their doctors and they start getting absolutely depressed about it. They don't want to go out. The depression turns into something that is different. Bipolar is in the news every day now because of Kanye West, but we have many people who are suffering from bipolar. It's across all racial spectrum. There's no limitations to that. But the fact is, when you look at bipolar, I was looking at it on the government website, there isn't any sort of solution or any sort of what my brother has bipolar, what do I do next? There is no navigational tool for you as a family if you wanted to look up. So it's about, so what you're doing is fantastic. I think what we need to do is to partner and hug each other and start producing user-friendly tools that people can actually use within their household and beyond. We need to start, the BHC have 10 trustees. They range from doctors who are like Professor Rotimi to GPs, walk-in centers. We have people who are IT, we have that. And then we have 10 ambassadors. The ambassadors who are MBE, OBE, film star who's starring in 007, they all come aboard because they're excited. We also have Professor Gabriel, who is a World Mental Health Vice President. And then we have 2 special advisors. One of them is Professor Miller, who works for the World Health Organization. And the other is Professor Gandhi, who is for NHS Digital Health. So we have the construct. What we're missing is some champions, but we're going to get that. It's a new organization.
Sorry, thank you so much. I'm not cutting in. I'm just very conscious of time now.
Yes, let me close down. So basically what I'm saying is that we are open to doing collaborative work. That's why it's called BAME Health Collaborative. And we welcome all on board to help dissect and rebuild bridges that will afford our communities better health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just can't thank you enough for that extensive insight into what you say. And sometimes some people might be wondering, what is the relevance of all this? And the relevance you've come to it is about collaborative effort, because we are a small organization and we're doing extraordinary things. We're doing things that are bigger than what our organization can actually does. And we need people like yourself to form allies with. And that is one of the things I've been doing since this project started. I've been calling organizations. I've been trying to find a way where we can build a collaborative effort, where we can see platforms that we can bring our voices out. If you don't formalize with people that are well established, people that understand what they are doing, or people that have the the resources in terms of human resources, because which is the most important thing in whatever you're doing. And that is what we found with BEM Health Collaboration. And we're looking forward to working with the organization. We're looking forward to having an opportunity to let our voices be heard. And, there was something you mentioned there when it comes to mental health, when it comes to suicide. And that was why when I started this conversation, I said it is about, this project is meant to be cultural appropriate. Because within our own culture, when somebody start having a mental health, you will start checking within your family who is running after you. The first thing that comes to your mind is that, oh, they are after me. Then you start binding and binding. before you even start figuring out the main issue, that, okay, what are the things that is really going on with me? Yeah, prayer is good, but as long as you're praying in the right manners, you're not praying to bind some spirit that doesn't even know, they're not even part of what is going on. So it is important, that we can start educating ourselves, and we can start having those kind of conversations, which is very critical to what is going on. And I was saying there that back in, I'm from Nigeria, and in Nigeria, if somebody commits suicide, you will be an outcast. Some of those people will never be buried. Here I have to deal with all those things even myself personally. When I see people going to bury it, I'm like, okay, like, are we supposed to do this? Are we supposed to do this? Because I've come from a background whereby I've learned that things like that, they are totally outcast within the community. You can't even marry to those kind of families. They'll tell you this, they'll tell you that. And these are all the things we need to start changing. We need to start talking about it so that people can become more aware and then celebrate it and figure out how to support this, either young person or an elderly person. When I was calling recently, when I was calling some of the people that we are trying to form alliance with, and I called in the morning, I spoke to one of them, and she was telling me that she was telling me about something that happened in locally here, just somewhere around here, somebody that committed suicide. And she was 43 years of age, around 43 years of age. She's from within the new community here in Highland. And I was just like, and we were talking about it, and that this is not just for young people. Adults are also doing the same thing. Kids are doing it. So it is high time that our community are open up to conversations like this. And it's high time that we find, work with people that can get us onto the table, so that, and that is a key point here, so that when they are making decisions, when they are creating policies, when they are, making laws, we can be included in those laws. We're not isolated away from it, that our community are noticeable, because we don't have those political power. But if we don't have the political power, then we should have the community power in coming together and strengthening ourselves. So thank you so much. Do we have anyone that wants to? I can only take one question for now.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we can only take one question. No problem. So I will take this question because for the speaker, then me, Charlene. Thanks so much. Did I correct? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have identified a need, and the need has always been there. And even our people are conscious of the need that we need to do something like you mentioned, but we need to be proactive rather than reactive, which has been happening all the time. Now, we want to blame everybody for what is happening to the Black community. So the question is this: how do you get the people to really engage? Because you see, I have noticed from our people that when you come up with initiatives that is going to help people, that is going to, bring awareness and improve their lives, they are the first people to go against your project. They are the people that won't even come. We have some very, very good people that will support you all the way. But you see, if we are going to change things, we need the wider society to really engage in programs, for them to identify that this has been created for every good, and it is not your own personal agenda. How do you get our people to engage? If I were to invite people to a party on Zoom now, you won't have space. You will have close to 100 people. If I say, come to my house, I'm having a party. But if I say, come for a program that is going to improve your life and your community, we find it difficult to get engagement. So what's your advice in this situation?
Can I say something to you that I teach business solutions, and therefore, if you are a chief exec or a director in a company and you want to introduce something new, 65% of your employees will not be interested, and you would only have 40% interested. And that has an economic impact. Sure. So it's no different if you in your household and you want to make changes, and you have more than 10 people in your household, 8 of them will not want to because of the comfort zone, and 2 will be ready to go with that. So what you first thing you need to do is to be able to get people to believe the psyche that they are part of it.
Okay.
that they have a control part of it. People do not like to be followers. With the new introduction of leadership, everyone believes that they are leader. Even in the church scenario, if you ask someone to stand at the door and to hold the little paper and put people to ushers, they don't want to be an usher. They don't want that job. So everyone wants to be a leader. So it's about giving the construct that they are going to lead in a particular area. And the other thing is, which is very important,
Okay.
if you are going to carve a new landscape, you are not carving it because you expect to have followers. The followers will come in its own time. You carve it. When I set up BHC on the 6th of February and I was drafting it by myself, I had no one but myself.
Okay.
And in May, we launched. Yeah. Today, I am Professor Rotimi is here and Tricia is here, and we can tell you, we have knocking doors. We are people. When I was asking for ambassadors, no one wanted to come on board. But when I got two, there's no more room. So you have to keep the standards first, focus, vision, and ensure that that standard doesn't change. Your mantra never changes. And the people who are not following you, they're not part of the solution. So it's better for you to have two and run a good run than to have 25 or 1,000,000 and nobody's running, only you. Okay? I hope that helps. Keep focus.
Thank you so much. That
It
really
does
help.
it does so much help, so much. And thank you so much. We're still going to come to you later on, but just for now, I have to say thank you for taking that spotlight at this moment. And I'm going to invite the next speaker to come on board. Except if there's any other question, but nobody is saying they have a question. Well, I'll take the question at the end, please, everyone. Thank you so much. And you can drop your questions in the chat box. That is appreciated as well. And then we can take those questions. I think Dr. Dalipa was there just now. I can't see him anymore. He might have left us. Okay, so I'm going to, since he's not here for now, I don't know, I have to call him. I'm going to get Dr. Valma to make a contribution to this conversation right away. So, Dr. Valma, are you ready for us?
Sorry, my door just opened, so I had to get up.
That's fantastic. That's okay. I will see where Dr. Dalipa is. You can go ahead and just make your contribution, please.
Yes. Hold on. I was listening to the last speaker so much and scribbling. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, to be at the launch of this event. Now, listening to the first two speakers, I was thinking a lot about the stigma surrounding mental health, which then suicide that we're talking about. But for me, I want to just mention that some years ago, I worked in local government. So I worked in the heart of the children's services. So for me today, it is about young people, children and young people. And when Susanna invited me, I was thinking about this. Oh, goodness, it is, has been some time since obviously I have worked in that area because I'm writing, doing other things. But so I looked up the statistics, and it said that every 90 minutes, a life is lost to suicide in the UK. I was really taken aback by this. And it also says that suicide for under 35 is the biggest killer, even more so than cancer. And I think his doctor, I can't remember, she's gone now from the screen, gave us some stats.
Dr. Abimbola. Dr.
Yes.
Abimbola gave us the statistic, yeah.
Yes. And it also says that 75% of suicides are among males 50 to 54. Now, this is shocking when you're thinking, and I was trying to pin down the UK, but there's so many stats out there at the moment. But again, it's looking at the aged 10 to 24, and it said that, you know, suicide for that age group has just rocketed, and also for girls as well. So in a former life, I was a member of a mental health steering group, the Maudsley. I think some of you here on the platform would have heard of the Maudsley. I also sat on another steering group, which is called Off the Record. Yes, so that is working with children and young people, and also gave cultural competency talks and awareness for, it's called CAMS, for children and adolescent mental health service here over in England, the area where I live. And today, for me, what I want to say is, hearing the other speakers, it is about focusing my input that I could offer you in any way support would really be around putting together a cultural competency training pack or something, because of the stigma attached to mental health and also to suicide as well. So it is about putting something together to work with children and young people, raising awareness for that age group, and also working with faith groups, because we just heard from the last speaker where she says that our community is reactive rather than proactive. But at all times, we've got to think of stigma. Remember our faith, and that plays a huge part. And Susanna, you spoke about, if anything happens, we start to pray, some of us, not all of us. And so it is crucial that we are working with faith groups. We need to bring them on board. So everything for me at this moment is about working in partnership. Who are the people, the organizations that you can bring on board with this project to make it a success, irrespective of what has been said about some people do not want to join you? It is because it is not their vision. And it is about really doing the legwork, networking, building up trust and relationships with people and organizations so that you can bring them on board for the support you need going forward. And I hope that I will be able to, based on also as a former lecturer in higher education, I know of 3 Black students who committed suicide. Speaking on the world stage, I was in Glasgow. I also met someone who, a community worker and a young mother, committed suicide. She had been relocated, you know, with this, what we call it, gentrification going on in London. So she was sent up to Glasgow, 2 young children. She committed suicide. Just this year alone, I also heard about another young man in London drowned, committed suicide. Prior to that, I had an organization, Caribbean and African Learning and Heritage Center in London. And going back to 2012, another young lady, an adolescent, sent sexually explicit pictures to her boyfriend, who shared with friends at school. And she actually jumped through her bedroom window. That wasn't far from where my organization was stationed. So you can see for me, and I've just mentioned CAMS, where in the past I have done cultural awareness training, also cultural competency, just putting together the last speaker talked about user-friendly, she said, tools. For me, that translates as a toolkit, Susanna, that we need to put together. And based on my experiences that I've just told you of higher education, the adolescent jumping through the bedroom window, and so forth, I think we could put something together. And I wouldn't necessarily be thinking of this stage that we should be focusing. But remember, this is my view, on adults so much, because our young people really need the support at the moment. And we know for a fact that crime against our young people, unemployment, all the social media, peer pressure, all those factors are really impacting on our young people. And not forgetting our girls as well. They're under a lot of pressure when we're looking at body image at the moment. The media, representation of Black women in the media, how that impacts, and women in general, representation, and then how that impacts on our girls who do not see representations, positive representations of themselves. And so really, I would want to be focusing, Susanna, in any support I can give you, it would be to put some kind of a toolkit together aimed at our young people, but especially, hold on a moment, please. Thank you, please. Falling down in the background, as I told you, my husband is working in another room somewhere. So where was I? I said my support that I can give is working with you, possibly a toolkit, and bringing faith groups on board, because we know what our community is like. You only need to go out of a Sunday morning to see where our people are at. So that would be what, you know, for me, I could bring to the group. And the other thing, it's also about the other organizations that are out there working with our young people. And I scribbled down, for instance, Mind. I did a talk in Southampton, I think it was last year, about mental health. And Mind, they were very good at providing information about mental health. So again, it's about connecting with them. I think you've got Mind over there, Susanna. Yes, and Heads Together. But we can talk about all the different organizations that you are going to and hopefully be engaging with. And I hope I've covered quite a bit in that short time. Basically, I've got a lot more scribbled down, but I'm conscious of time and other people wanting to speak. And I can always come back to going over some of the things that we need to be focusing on based on the work that I've done over the years. Okay.
Thank you so much for that. And you know, I'm so delighted when Marceline mentioned the tool. JJ, I hope you're taking notes, JJ.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
I'm so delighted in that, because that is a useful thing. You know, if we can design tools, because the two initial speakers have mentioned it, that parents and people, friends, everybody, they need a tool that they can use, so that if you are in that situation, you can use that tool to support whoever, if it's your friend, if it's your child, if it's you yourself, if the tool is out there, somebody else can use it to support you as well. So thank you very much for that. I'd like to invite Trish. Do you want to say something now?
Yeah.
No, I was talking to Trish first before Trisha. I'll bring in Trisha later. Yeah.
No.
I'm trying to balance it between Ireland and UK. So do you want to come in, and we have just 2 minutes for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just give a really short introduction. So I'm Tracy, so that's why I just said it strangely, so that's why. And I work with Shine a Light, which is a suicide and mental health awareness group in Cork City in Ireland. So we heard about it on Facebook. I think it was JJ contacted us and invited us. So we're delighted to know that this is starting up. It's really exciting to know that there's another community roots organization starting up in an area that we've seen as an area of high importance. And like you've been saying, community and social supports are one of the huge protective factors for those who are vulnerable and at risk, and maybe thinking about suicide or have made attempts at suicide. And it's also how we hear about where the need is and where the risk is, and if there has been a death by suicide, where there is support needed for friends and family who maybe don't have a wider network that we can maybe step in and help them to know where they can get support or be there as a listening ear and a supportive person for them. And we would work closely with a local counselling organisation that provide low-cost counselling and psychotherapy in our city. So we have spent the last, like this year is our 10th year. So for those 10 years, we've worked in partnership with that organisation and can make direct referrals and ring them for support. If we're supporting someone and we're worried, we can ring and speak to those counsellors ourselves. And we can also link vulnerable people in with that service. And through our fundraising, we can cover the cost of that. So it goes from low cost to no cost for those people who need that extra support, because we don't want something as small as a €15 an hour charge to be in the way of saving someone's life.
Yeah.
And we have also been looking at that issue of young people, and what we've been doing for the last, I think this is our second year running it. Yeah, definitely our second year. We've been putting on a play called Bring Me Back Alive around our local community, so around the city, and we've branched out into the county, and we try and link with secondary schools to get teenagers to come to screenings. And that it's really evocative. It's a really good play that was written by Patricia McCann in Dublin, and it shows the aftermath of a teenage death by suicide, and it's his friends in their youth centre, it's the mother left behind, and it just shows the effect, and it shows that one of the other friends is having suicidal ideation, and it has the, I guess, ghost of the young man who has died is also present in it. So it has had a massive impact, and every time we put it on, we have counsellors in the audience who can take people out and speak to them if they're distressed at it. And every time we've been making onward referrals for people who've come forward following seeing the play and realising, actually, that's me, I need to speak with someone, I'm vulnerable here. And we also put on public information talks. We may need to move them to Zoom right now because of what's going on, but we've had talks from Pieta House, from the different kind of HSE support groups, and we provide safe talk training and assist training in collaboration with the HSE for our volunteers and for the wider community. And that helps to see the risk factors around suicide, and like in the training for Safe Talk, you go through that, actually, okay, I'm worried about my friend, maybe I need to ask, and they get you to ask, are you thinking about suicide? And go through the steps of what should you do if someone says yes, like, because you don't really want the first time to have done that to be with someone that you love and you're left going, I've asked, but now I don't know what to do. So it's kind of finding your pathways that way as well, going, okay, who in my community can I reach out to? I can get them, I can keep them safe by staying with them, but what are my next steps? And putting those safety plans in place. So it's some of those kind of things. And we'd be happy to speak with yourselves and let you know who has been supporting us over the years and what we've tried that's worked and what we've tried that hasn't worked so well. Because we've been there where you guys have been. We're starting it off and trying to go, okay, how do we even let people know we're here? Like, what do we do? So we'd be delighted to work with you guys and support you any way that we can, and hear and learn more about what you guys are doing so that we can spread the word in Cork for you guys as well.
Thank you so much. We have a branch manager in Cork, and we will link up with you and see what we can do. But, you know, like you were saying, like I said from the beginning, when this project, one of the reasons why we had to kickstart this project, even though we've made applications this last year, we got a very small amount of money. I didn't even want to say it. So disgusting. It's just so small. Yeah. But we had to keep going, because since the lockdown, within our own community, we've had several suicides. You know, and it came to a point whereby we just, and one of the ones that happened recently, it was based on the fact that the initial suicide that happened on a very public place, and then students pass there every time. And I think from that, the young people, it's like it's become like as if it was it's just everyone was thinking it was okay, and it was, when we were talking to young people during that time, and based on the people that did the research, and we were having conversation with them, they now start feeling as if it's okay. They don't see it as like, oh, my friend, oh, she does, oh, I can do it. So we felt that no. This is not okay. It's not an option. It is not an option for you to think that is the option for you. It's not okay at all. And we can't normalize it, because we got to a state that we felt that it's that the young people are trying to make it look as if it's normal. Like, okay, there's nothing. No, this is not normal. This shouldn't be happening. And we felt that we need people to work with us, and we felt, like I said from the beginning, yes, it's a big community, but we realized that within our own community there's so much that needs to be done, because first, we are not even accepting it. For me, even as an adult, up till like I traveled down to this country, I've never witnessed one suicide ever in my life until I came here. I didn't even know that people do that. I've heard about people do that in the olden days or something like that, but I didn't know the reality and the extent of what that means until I start coming here. And there's so many people like that. So there's so much education that needs to be done and coming to reality. So thank you. And we're going to take you on all those things you said because we need the support. Is there anybody here that wants to ask any question or want to make any reference to what she said in any form? Just one contribution, if there's anyone.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Trace. Is it Tracy, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely amazing when it comes to community need to work together in terms of a referral. If you guys are in Cork, minding that you have to understand that as a Black person, we have our own problems which other culture might not understand. So when it comes to suicide, it could be a different thing, personal things from home or families and things like that. So we to find somebody that understands the culture and give the advice and how you call it, talk to this person, understand exactly what they're going through or what they're facing. It could be a lot of problem from home. And I had the same experience when I was growing up. I did not know it until now that I sit back as an adult. I was like, wow, this could have been fatal. So I used to sit in class and carve myself. I still have the mark, carve myself on my hands because of anger. And when my school will call home, they will pretty much be angry at me, slap me or punish me, not knowing exactly as a 12 years old, 13 years old, what I'm going through, what I'm thinking, trying to commit suicide, thinking, having a thought of committing suicide, having that point of like, it's okay if I kill myself in this world. If I eliminate myself, all my problem will be gone. So I have a friend as well, who went through the same process as well, thinking of committing a suicide. He had to get counseling, and now he's doing absolutely fantastic. He turned his life around. He's one of the director in finance company. So sometimes people need somebody to talk to. You really need somebody to talk to, understand your problem, invest the time to sit with that person, understand, and try to show them the way, it's not worth it. If you do this, you can become like this, you can do that. So it's good to be in liaison regarding diasporates where you guys are in Cork. If any situation comes, okay, we can refer you to this, there's another organization that can help you regarding this. We might not think we might not be able to help you regarding, personal issues or home issues and things like that. So it would be great if we come as a community, as a diaspora, to help each other when it comes to situations like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure you're still staying with us. So as we go ahead, thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to invite Professor Rotimi. Is Professor Rotimi ready? Professor Rotimi. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go to let me see who else is there. Okay, Trish is gone. Professor Rotimi, are you still with us? Okay.
Can I say a few things?
Yeah, I'm going to bring you in a minute. Because I know you're just coming to join us back again. Okay, yeah. I'm going to get Micheline, will you please see what is going on with Professor Rotimi? Will you do that for me, please? Because I can't. So
yes, I would do that, and Trisha could probably say a few words. But
she's not here as well. I can't see her. I think she's gone. I can't see her.
She's at the last. If you scroll down.
Okay. Yes. Okay, Trisha, are you ready for us, Trisha? Sorry, I think she just joined us back again. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi. I wasn't prepared to do anything.
You just make a contribution. That would be fine. Just say something.
Okay. So my name is Trisha George, and I work very closely with Micheline on our BHC. What it is that we're about and what we're hoping to accomplish. I come from a nursing background, but I currently work in governance. And I mean, as a Black person, I am quite keen to see, health outcomes for all of us, that are in our interest. And certainly if we can impact that and help to shape, what is actually delivered for us, for our families, for our friends, etc., who fall within the BAME community, then I'm all for that. I am quite aware that mental health is quite a big issue, but it is also quite a taboo subject for a lot of people, and not just Black people, but amongst other ethnic groups as well. And if there is anything that we can do as a group, as working collaboratively, that can actually impact on that, where we see a reduction in suicide rates, a reduction in our young people, our elderly as well, being admitted and just being not so much ill-treated, but the care that is being provided is not in line with what they should be receiving, but it's just very textbook, and it's not based on what is in their best interest necessarily. If we can impact on that, I am certainly on board to to push that forward. We have so many other issues within our BAME communities that are treated as run-of-the-mill. And certainly the time is now for us to work together to try and impact that and bring about the change and the changes that we would like to see, because it's not just for us, who's got children, who's got grandchildren, etc. So anything that we can do that falls within a framework, we have a strategy for it, etc., and then we can measure our outcomes and produce information on an ongoing basis that will enlighten people, will inform them, and eventually, get them on board to follow, this is what you ought to be doing rather than that, etc. I am all for that. So that's just my little contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm going to bring in Professor Dr. Dalipa, but before that, I'm just going to do a brief introduction of who he is. And now, Professor works as a senior Dalipa Mahapatra. I keep pronouncing, yeah, I hope I got that right. Is working as a senior consultant physician in Dundalk, here in Ireland, and his special interest is in celiac disease and osteoporosis. So he is attached to two hospitals in the area, and as a medical director, and he runs a private practice from his own office in Elwood Clinic. Now, he's based in Dundalk here in Ireland. He's also the chairperson for our men's forum. We have a men's health forum whereby we support men within our community in getting them to be more aware of their health issues. So he's the chairperson for that, and he's also our chairperson for the organization. So thank you, Professor Dalipa, and I'm going to leave the floor for you to make your contribution.
Thank you so much. Very elaborate introduction. I was listening to the first speaker, then I had to go somewhere. I missed a bit, but it's a very good sort of all-round information we are getting from the lecture series. And as you know, I'm not directly concerned with the management of psychiatric illness because I'm a physician, but we do treat people who are coming in with failed suicide attempt, or being brought in with some input from the guards, especially, so what we basically do, we treat them according to whatever the conditions are. If it's surgical, they'll be referred very quickly, like slashing the radial artery or the femoral artery. You need emergency surgical sort of thing. So that is done immediately. There's a triage for that from the admissions, from the emergency department. But those who are medically need to be treated, we treat it. Even doing a stomach washout, because, for example, if they have taken medication, drugs, even simple things like paracetamol, a large quantity of that. We do that, and sometimes we will also use charcoal therapy and also induce, if the patient is conscious, we will induce vomiting, either digitally or by allowing the patient to have cups of salt water. So patient starts vomiting to take whatever the content is out from the stomach. So these are the things. But on revival, my understanding is why this happens. So what the symptoms as a physician I would look for, and this will actually kind of complement what has been said by the first speaker here, that we look for symptoms for suicide signs or suicidal thoughts, which may include these people, or the teenagers especially, is very difficult. They talk about suicide. For example, making statements such as, I'm going to kill myself, I wish I was dead, I wish I hadn't been born. These are sort of things, very, very reactive sort of statement. So you have to take this into consideration. Then getting the means to take your own life, such as buying a gun, especially there's no gun culture in Ireland, but in some other countries, including the US, the guns you can buy in a shop. It's so easy to buy, or stockpiling pills. And that is one of the concern here. And I agree with the first speaker. The male suicide rate is very high in Ireland. And it's a cause, it's a great concern to us, to all in the health service, why it is happening. But it is a fact. And then the other thing is the withdrawing from social contact and wanting to be left alone. So there's a gradual withdrawal picture we also look, and we need to question them for this. And having mood swings, such as being emotionally high one day and being very down the next day or discouraged the next day. Being preoccupied with death, dying of violence, so they will be thinking about that. Feeling trapped or hopeless about a situation. Increasing the use of alcohol, drugs. Nowadays, recreational drugs are available in partying and sort of thing. Habit is formed and they keep on doing this, And alcohol abuse is a known fact in the society here. There is a habit, like, it's a habitual sort of thing. People do binge drinking and then they get into problems with severe alcohol intoxication. Then depression is the side of that, and this is where we look at, because if you have made an attempt to take your own life, there has to be antecedent reason for this, and the alcohol and drugs play a major role in this. Then changing the normal routine, including eating or sleeping patterns, we have to look, because basically some of these are very subtle and they will, you can miss all this point, because if you don't ask, you don't get any reply from them. Then doing risky or self-destructive things, such as using drugs or driving recklessly. There's no sort of structured thing into that, but this can be opened up gradually as you talk to these people when they come in into the units or to the wards. Sometimes they need to be sent from there if they are having problems, especially with the drugs and the alcohol, to specialist unit to detoxify them. Then we look at like saying goodbye to people if they won't be seen again, which is a big clue that why are they saying goodbye to the people, you have to look at that. Are they planning anything? Is there something going on in their mind? And then developing personality changes or being severely anxious or agitated, particularly when experiencing some sort of warning signs listed above. So you have to be very, very careful not to miss all this, what you call the red flags or the warning signs. And sometimes it's very obvious when you actually open up a conversation with them to find out what their intentions are. Is it clear? They're muddled. The suicidal thoughts are very, very sort of secret, because sometimes they won't tell anything to the family, especially those teenagers who are used to self-harm, and then they have got suicidal. They will, do things in a very secretive manner. They won't even tell their close friends or family. So you have to be careful about that. And then what we need to do is immediately thinking of preventive action. Are they reaching out to close friend or loved one, even though it may be hard to talk about your feelings? That we need to see, because as the previous speaker said, once you have made an attempt, you are likely to make a second or a third attempt. So we need to actually prevent that by going into it and then finding a solution. But not all solutions are just giving antidepressants. They might need counseling. They might need a combination of counseling or drugs and various other things. So that needs to be done. Then the WHO guidelines are very clear, the mental spiritual thing. So it might be good that we bring that angle in, that to contact a minister, a spiritual leader, or someone in your faith, like, you might not have. For example, I'm the chairperson of Sikhi. Now we don't actually have a temple here or a spiritual leader, like, So we need to actually bring in people who have some understanding of that within our group to talk to the person who are very inclined for this. Other thing is, of course, a call on a suicide hotline, because sometimes if you are talking to them, you might be able to prevent that while the guards are on the scene, and also keep them engaged, keep them talking on a suicide hotline. And then finally, the GPs are the gatekeepers. They have a major role to play. So the appointment has to be made to their own doctors or to a health care provider in mental health especially. A consultant would be ideal person to contact and refer your patient if you are thinking that way, that there'll be some definitive diagnosis, which is creating all this problem. And then you have to look at why it is happening. What are the risk factors? Does it run as a family history, or there are any extraneous factors? So you have to look into that. And the questionnaires would be, has this person attempted a suicide before? And what is he feeling? Is he feeling hopeless, worthless, agitated, socially isolated, or lonely? So all this needs to be taken into account. Experience of a stressful life event, such as the loss of a loved one, a stressful service like a military service, a breakup, financial or legal problems. So all these bear a sizable amount of mental stress on these individuals who are prone to kind of give in, because there are a lot of us who are facing this on a daily routine, but we never think of suicide. We think how to get over this, how to actually have parallel means of doing things to create a more substantive sort of solution to all this problem. That's the way we look at. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the substance abuse problem, which results in overuse or addiction, to alcohol and drug, and can lead to worsening of suicidal thoughts and can make you feel very reckless with a high. If you get high, for example, even simple things like smoking a weed or going on to LSDs and those sort of drugs, that can actually change your behavior. It can make you very impulsive in your thoughts and acts. And sometimes not only you can harm yourself, you can harm others nearby. So you have to be very careful about this. Then thankfully we don't have firearms, but sometimes the suicidal thoughts leads to immediate action with the firearm if somebody has access to it. In Ireland, it's very less common because the firearms, the people applying for that have to go through a systemic sort of a review process by the guards. So it is not generally hand out, sort of thing. Then the underlying psychiatric disorder, because I'm not a psychiatrist, but such as a major depression or post-traumatic stress sort of a disorder, or more commonly a bipolar disorder. And even a dual diagnosis, somebody has an intellectual disability and also has a psychiatric illness, that can also be missed out because people think though he has an intellectual disability, he cannot be depressed. That's not the fact. People with intellectual disability can be equally depressed like any other person. So you have to look at that. And then the family history of mental disorders, because it's a very interesting thing. I looked at, we have actually more psychiatric hospital in Ireland than general hospital. So I don't know what's the reason for that. Maybe there's a lot of people who are stressful or something, but it's a fact. We have more psychiatric hospital in Ireland than general hospital. So looking into all this, including domestic violence, physical or sexual abuse, that can be a part of this buildup where it ends ultimately in suicidal thoughts. Then medical conditions, which basically are linked to depression and chronic disease, chronic pain or terminal illness, have a cancer with terminal illness, ideation can occur. Chronic pain, especially with non-remitting chronic pain, and this can happen. And we have also seen that generally a proportion of people actually who are having lesbian or gay or bisexual or transgender sort of tendencies are unsupported by the family, because it is still a stigma in a lot of Irish households. Not only in Irish, worldwide, there are a lot of stigma attached to these conditions where the person cannot help himself or herself. So it's a very stressful situation for that, and sometimes it can lead to events which will result in suicidal thoughts and maybe committing it. And so that's one of the things one should look at. Then the loss or conflict with close friends and family members. Sometimes anger builds up and it can have a negative sort of thing and can result in that. So one has to look at that. And as I said, the physical or medical issues, and of course, the first speaker said about pregnancy, but if it's a forced pregnancy, it can be other way around. You actually get depressed because it's an unwanted pregnancy. It's a pregnancy which happened because he didn't want it. And sorry. And this can happen as a result of that. I would also bring in the victims of bullying, which can happen because of the pressure that builds up. and a uncertainty, especially in developmental age, pivotal age group of sexual orientation. So it can be very stressful at that time. So one has to look at that and take it as some pointers, to see that this is a condition which can actually lead to suicidal thoughts or even acts of suicide. Now, the homicide suicide thing is there. Not all people who come in with to us, we don't presume it's a suicidal case if there are other things which conflicts, with the standard diagnosis. So one has to look for motive, especially if there's a homicide or likely homicide attempt involved in it. So this is one of the things we look at, especially if there's a history of ongoing conflict with a spouse or a romantic partner, and there's led to breakups or something like that. This can be created with a third party and entering into it. And the current family, legal or financial problems, and especially it happens in developing countries, where the people are very aggressive on the property issues, land issues sort of thing, and can push the people into suicidal behavior or take their life as a homicidal sort of act, So this is one has to look at. And the standard treatment has been discussed by the psychiatrist herself, but what we do normally is that a lot of these people will come in who would be already on an antidepressant. So after that discharge from the hospital, we put in a note to their family doctor or a GP, saying that this person would need a complete review. If this has happened, or he or she has attempted a suicide, and we need the medication to be reviewed either by the GP, or normally in a situation where the person is available to us for a few days, we get the in-house consultant, psychiatrist, to have a quick look, and medications can be changed then. And the patient is discharged with fresh medication. That's one of the things we do. And we also keep a very clear, because of the counseling, it's very important that we keep a very clear view, or an open view actually, that to get the counselors involved again, so sometimes that would be another course of action. So between these two, the medication and the counseling, most of them help, but the supportive structure we also try to get more closeness being provided by family and friends. And if the person has a partner or a wife or a husband or whoever is there, a living relationship, whatever, we try to actually get as much involvement as possible, so the person doesn't feel that is alone or the situation is getting out of hand. So these are the considerations we do as a physician. Detailed work, as I mentioned, is actually done by psychiatric colleagues, and we pass on a sort of a liaison to whether it's the adult psychiatrist or somebody specializing in juvenile, psychiatric condition, so it all depends on that. Old age psychiatry, we don't get much involved because we don't find much cases of a very elderly man attempting this, though there have been some reported cases, especially with chronic pain and cancer pain, malignant pain, but that's more of a different thing that opens up euthanasia and a lot of other things. So that's basically it. I'm not a psychiatrist. I didn't prepare anything for this. So whatever the experience I've got.
You prepared a lot. Thank you, Prof. That was extensive. And even though I think that was much. Anyway, do we have anyone that wants to throw in something there to what Professor Talib said? Do we have anyone that wants to throw in a question? We can only take one. If anybody is there to ask him any question, that would be fantastic. Okay. If there's no question, then I'm just going to ask you one thing, because was it recently there was a high-profile suicide that happened in UK, and that was for Caroline Flax. She's a presenter at the Love Island. Now, she didn't have any history of anything. I think it was just a point in her life that things just turn around and change. Because based on what we were told through the media and everything, anyway, we were not told whether she had any she had any issues before that. I think it was just a spontaneous something that happened based on the fact that she was having problems. She was being arrested, and I think she felt that her whole life is just falling apart at that point in time. So, you know, those kind of cases, how do you help? Because I knew she had a cry out a few 1 or 2 days to that time, but I thought they didn't think it was serious enough that she would end up doing that.
No, yeah, it's a good question. You know, I heard about that. You know, I would, you know, as a physician, you know, I wouldn't be too you know, sort of a detailed in whatever has happened to her, because I won't be privy to that. But as a general sort of a thing, I can make out that there are trigger suicides. You know, there is not. You know, it's not very obvious to people who are around her or around any individual with this sort of behavior, even a doctor, you know, because they might not be a history of any psychiatric behavior, acute psychosis, or admission to mental institution. But the person can actually have a trigger effect with the very recent things that's happening, you know, and it's actually the ability not to cope, and that drives to them over the brink, you know, and that can happen within weeks. Like herself, you know, it's not only herself. There's been a lot of cases where a single incident, which is the trigger incident, has caused the person to take his or her own life, you know, without any antecedent, you know, depression or on being on antidepressant, without any consultation with the clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist or any long-term sort of thing, or even you know, substance abuse or drugs, you know, or drug abuse or something like that. And it is unlikely situation would be the most likely situation. That's how it happens. You know? That's how you put it, you know, that you are not thinking about this, but it's happened.
Exactly.
But the other way is true, that the pressure points are there when you become a public figure, especially in the film and the art industry, you know. There's a lot of pressure, and the people who are performing on the stage, you know, because they generally, to relax them, you know, they go on drugs and alcohol, it builds up. So you have a case history there. But in this situation, it is possibly the trigger thing that happened, you know, 1 or 2 causes immediately a few weeks before death that caused that, you know, and that would be the most logical thing I can think of.
Thank you very much for that. I know that Professor, I'm just, okay, Dr. Dalima, you have to wait a moment. Professor Rotimi has something to do, and he just want to chip in something there. Professor Rotimi, are you ready?
I just sent you a message. He's on an obstetric call, so he just sends his apologies to everyone.
No problem. Okay, Dr. Dalima, you have a question there for Dr. Professor Dalipa, so you can go ahead and ask your question. And that will be the last question we're going to take. We're closing. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Time and time again, we hear that when people of African heritage present with mental health problems, they're often medicated, which then leads down the road to being sectioned often, rather than being referred for counseling, talking therapies. What are your thoughts on this issue?
Okay, this is a very good question, you know, and I entirely agree with whatever is happening, because pressure jobs, they don't want actually to have a lot of interaction, because it takes a lot of time to listen to somebody in general practice, especially with psychiatric illness or presumed psychiatric illness, obsessive personalities or personality disorders. Okay, so this is what happens. But my take on this is that don't rush into a drug therapy, into an interventional antidepressants or something of any kind. whether it's the first generation or the latest. Everything has a side effect, okay? And it takes time to build up. You don't expect that patient on prescribed antidepressant to be bright the next day, in full form. This takes weeks for it to actually have some clinical improvement. So that's something you should look at after making an assessment. And in most of the conditions, I think, I don't get that many patients, but my wife is in general practice. I'm just looking at her picture, what she does, and she's possibly doing the right thing. What you need to do is that after you were taken on a detailed history and sort of thing, you have made a formal sort of a diagnosis. The intervention, the first stage of intervention, and that's the gold standard you should observe, is to refer the patient to a clinical psychologist. The clinical psychologist will give you feedback, and depending on that feedback, you take further action. Do not precipitate taking action by giving them medication. It's a different thing. If a person is agitated or is having anxiety problem, you can relieve that, or insomnia, you can relieve that. But don't jump into antidepressants. You can use hypnotics, there's no problem. But don't jump into antidepressants until and unless you are satisfied the counseling is not working. If the counseling is working, that is the best way to go forward. And that will lead to a lot of happiness later, not only for the individual, but for the entire family, because the whole family is involved in the counseling as it goes further, as it expands over a few sessions. That's my take on this.
Okay, thank you very much. Because I'm thinking of Susanna's, the tool pack that we've been talking about, and how then we're going to put something about.
Yeah, we're going to work with the BAM Out collaborative organization. Yes, and don't worry, Madeline, she's onto it just like that. I'm sure she's going to be onto it. After this, we are going to sit down and we're going to invite other people as well. We figure out what we're going to do to make sure that tool it really happens. So thank you so much for that. I know there's a new person that joined in, one of our board of directors, Victor Oduko. I guess I saw him just right there now. So you're welcome on board. You came in very late, but you're welcome on board anyway. The most important thing is that I'll let you need to, I'll give you a moment to say something. But do we still have anyone to ask a question before we close this evening? And before I take on Evangelica Victor to come in. Do we have any other questions here? Okay, let me just get him to say something. I'm unmuting you now. I think it's difficult to unmute you. You have to unmute yourself over there because I'm trying to unmute you, but okay, yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you press unmute on your side? Okay.
Yes, I've just done that.
Okay, so do you want to make a contribution to this conversation?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sam Kamalafe, the CEO, and all our expertise on this topic. It's a very, very seclusive topic we need to deal with, even with the government. And this is what is going on now, not just with the migrant diaspora, but with a lot of people. And it happened with teenagers. In my place, this last year, a 16 years old student, Irish, in front of his house, took a rope, went to the tree, committed suicide because of a girlfriend. This guy was still in secondary school. Another one now just took a rope too, after graduating as a biochemist, took a rope, went to commit suicide. So, I mean, too much for this. And with migrant, that one was from Africa, Nigeria. So why this? What are the parents looking at? And what is government doing? Is it pandemic or what is going on? Like the professor said before about mental problem with the Africans. Not everything is turning to madness. And when depression comes too, we should know that there are things we should think about, not just medicine immediately. There are a lot of things if you do. I'm a pastor, prayer can help too. Sit them down, ask questions, and look for the generic aspect of it, the DNA. Is it in the foundation of the parents? Is it going to be continuous? What can we do about it? Why? What? If? How? Questions we need to do. So this is a subject that we cannot finish within a sitting. It's supposed to be continuous so that the children and the parents, they are into it with the government. We know how to tackle this ailment, this social or mental trouble. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for your contribution. You know, I think one of the things you said, we've mentioned it briefly that even though we know prayers are important, but sometimes we just have to face the reality that this is an ailment, and it could be hereditary as well, which you're right, it could be hereditary within the family. We're medically, I think scientifically, that has been proven that it could be hereditary within a family, and those things needs to be addressed. So thank you for your contribution. Before you came in, you know, this is part of the things we said, that in dealing with these, it's not just going to be us having counselors or having expertise, but we will have spiritual leaders that can provide spiritual support. So we call it spiritual support for people. In terms of, you know, spiritual support to young people and adults that might be going through this kind of issue. And I know that there's so many alternatives to spiritual support, or in times some people see it as spiritual, like people do wellness, there's yoga, there's so many other forms of spiritual other things apart from religious prayers as well that is being offered in the secular environment. But you know, I know that within our own community, because there's a lot of people that have faith, share this kind of faith as well, with, just like I do. We feel that that will be part of what we are going to bring on board in terms of how we will work with young people in this in our own platform. And thank you for that contribution. It's well appreciated. So I'm going to now say a big thank you to everyone for why am I on the spotlight? Okay, I'm not. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to have to say a very, very big thank you to every single person that made this evening, this afternoon happen. Thank you so much to Dr. First, I'll start with my speakers that I know one of them, I think one or two of them is gone anyway. Dr. Abimbola Adetunji. Yeah, she's a specialist in this area. Thank you so much. She really made a very significant contribution to the conversation. Thank you, Marceline Alder March. I have to learn to pronounce your name, and I'm bad with it. Professor Dalipa will tell you, he's been telling me how to pronounce this name for years. I still can't get it. So okay, thank you so much, Michaeline March. I really appreciate your presence and for bringing your friends and colleagues on board to come and support us. Trisha George, we really thank you so much. And we tried professors, extend our love and appreciation to Professor Rotimi Jayesimi. That was for joining us as well. Thank you, Professor Dr. Dalip Marapatra.
You got it right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Tracy, all the way from Cork. We're really going to link up with you because we know we need your support and your organization and your expertise, because you've been working in the area for quite a while, and to link up with people that can support us. And to say to my moderators, Tolu Lokpola Niyon and to JJMK, you guys have been very fantastic all through the way while we were planning all this. Thank you so much for making this happen. You know, there was something that Marceline said today, and I'm sure Tolu Lokwe knows I've been saying that all along, that it's not always about numbers. It's about having people that really matters around you. is a, that is this key thing. Have people that matters around you, people that when you call them, they're always ready to push ahead for you to make things happen. And that is when you can make things happen. And if it's only one or two people that you have around you that believes in your visions and that are ready to work with you to make a change within the community, then go ahead and keep doing what you want to do. And with time, you will be noticed, and then you will have a lot of more than you want on board to be, but work with the right people. And I'm delighted that this project, we have so many people here this afternoon that are willing, that when we call them, they're always ready to support us. And I think our first assignment after today is going to be on the tool. Yeah, I can see your hand up. I'm coming. That will be the first assignment that we're going to do. We're really going to work on it. And so, Dr. Valdemar, don't worry. We're going to get it started. I'm going to take, before we just round up, and JJ is going to round up the evening. But before that, I'm going to, Tolu Lokpe, you've spoken, yeah? I guess you did anyway. Tolu Lokpe is they are one of our collaborators. She's the executive or CEO director of Pathway International Mission. They are going to be collaborating with us. If you want to say anything, that will be okay. And then, Victor, are you ready? I think I see your hand is up. We can only take you for just a minute there, please.
All right, son. What I'm saying is that this thing is encouraging the family, the parents, to be so close to their parents. Parents are being far away, and that's why they don't actually know their behavioral system. You must learn your children's behavioral system. When they are quiet, when they are not doing anything, they talk to their friends outside. Even get some of their friends to talk to them. What did my son or daughter say to you last week? From there, you get to know where their behavioral system is going. And we keep on praying for them too. Pray for your children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Teenagers are they are funny creature. And you have to be careful sometimes talking to their friends, because you might, the friends won't be telling you anything anyway. I think so. I might be wrong. Teenagers, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's really important for BMA communities to recognize that they're no longer operating in their mother countries. And therefore, the expectations and the cultural values that you would want to have the children who are here to comply with, it is really not acceptable in the context that they are working and they not working, but they are in an education forum where people have different values. And therefore, if you notice that there has been a serious breakdown in traditional family life here, and parents, especially the Black, African, and Caribbean parents, are now working not really they think they are involved, but they're not involved. And therefore, children, I can tell you this because I have the facts. A lot of these children are now opting, rather being fostered, rather being going wherever, because they don't think or believe that a home environment actually is an environment that prepares them for tomorrow here. So we have to be very careful about how we interact. And I have been pushing for us to have workshops for traditional African and Caribbean, whatever tribe, whatever religion you practice, to go to these workshops to understand how the youth of today thinks, what it is they think, what it is they value, and actually be a listener rather than a speaker. I think it's very important to give children, young people, the opportunity to sit on the podium and tell you how they feel without repercussions. And I think once we have that reversal in communication, we will have so much of a much more receptive audience for them to actually share with you when things are going wrong.
Thank you for that. Tolu Lokpe, your hand is up. You can talk now. We take you first. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Susanna, and thank you for taking me. Yes, I know when you talked about this program, I was really on board because it was something I know that was necessary. And so I'm just going to talk briefly because I don't want to take time. I didn't really mean to talk, I didn't prepare, but I just felt that I needed to say something. And what am I saying today? As someone who, coming from Nigeria with a lot of expectations and coming into Ireland, I actually had my own period, which I tell people of stress. I actually, what people, the real stress in the sense of the word, not just being down. And I know that it was a very difficult period, but some of those things that really helped me was maybe the social interaction with people, the church as well, because we cannot discount that as we cannot discount us as Africans. The church plays the spiritual life. It plays a very vital role, so the church. And then our diet as well. We have to look at eating what is around our environment as well, not just limiting ourselves to the food, our African food. So I was able to explore and also eat food from here, and which helped my health tremendously. So also, getting the right support in terms of the tools to use, like CBT really helped me. So that was very, very helpful, changing my own orientation and thinking. And then, that really helped again. What else helped was meditation helped as well. A lot of Africans don't believe in meditation. Some of them think that you have to have certain incantations or mantras. You don't have to do that. You can still meditate without having that. Listening to music that will actually relax you could actually help as well. So I just look at the holistic approach to mental health, tackling it from all directions and not just thinking of it in one way. So I was given medication, but I didn't really take the medication. Because I felt I didn't need it. Like one of the speakers mentioned, I think it's Dilip, and he was saying something like, medication is not the first thing you needed to have, so the counseling was more important. So, and that was the mistake, being handed out antidepressants rather than the other route. So that didn't really work for me. But what worked for me is the fact that I was able to use other therapies, over means of looking. I went to the library and I did my research, I changed my diet, I changed my mindset, I exercised regularly, and before you knew it, I was up on my feet, and those tools are still helping me today. And I don't know how I manage so many things that I do. And one of the things I was able to do, this is my book, I actually documented some of the experience, not just recap some of those things that how I was able to go through that transformation journey. So for everyone, going through one thing or the other, I know one thing, there is always hope, but if you don't go and get help, that is when it's a problem. But when there's help out there, and thanks to Susanna and our organization, what they are doing, at least coming out in the open to know that there is a support system in place for people, and that is not just a general one, but is culturally sensitive to deal with your own issue. That is very, very important. It kind of builds your confidence that your case will be handled properly. That's just what I want to say today. And thanks to all the speakers. I really, really, it was really very educating for me, and I love to learn. Thank you so much, Susanna, once again.
Yeah, it would be good if you can let us know the name of the book and where we can get it, so that, and you can send me a copy of that. We can put it on our website so that people can, use it, read it, and see how effective that could be. And if you can give us a summary of what you said, so that could be some of the steps that we can use within the tools. Anyway, you will be involved in the tool making anyway, so that would be one of the steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I can see one more hand. So before we go,
can I say something to that?
Okay, you're going to round up, then you will talk then. Is that okay? Yeah. So now I'm just going to, I think everybody have said something. We're rounding it up again, just to say a big thank you to everyone. JJ is going to have a bit of word, and we are going to close for the evening, and then I'm going to stop the recording after that. And if anybody wants to stay for behind just to have a chat, you could stay till 5 o'clock, because I'm going to go into, and I'm doing a presentation at 5 o'clock myself this evening. So thank you very much. I really appreciate every single one of you that have joined us to make this evening happen. Tracy, please send us your details. I know that JJ will link up with you, and I will link up with you so we could have a meeting with you and see how we could work together with you guys. So thank you so much. So JJ, the floor is yours.
Oh, absolutely massive thank you to everybody for contribution, and it's been very helpful. But what we would like to say is that I speak from as a black person, as a black man, coming from Africa. Uh, regarding our community when it comes to suicide, firstly, like as Miss Michelle said earlier on there, regarding our parenting, our community, especially our parents, we need to change the mentality. Long we're not, back in our own country, we need to change the mentality. We're living here, so much is expanding, so much is growing, and children do not behave as children who are back home. So if you're going to educate your child, you have to look at, our parents need to invest time, invest time knowing how, our society works, how our children are working. Because when they leave your house, they're going outside, they're meeting with a range of other nationality, and their behaviors differently. We don't always have to be so aggressive to our children, so aggressive in a certain way. You have to sit down and talk to them. Talk to them. We're not in Africa where you are, you do something, they beat you up, you do something, that's how I learned. That's how I grew up. I grew up with beating all the time, from school, from home. So I have a child now. I have to know how my child, how I'm going to behave towards my child. Shouting or, being aggressive, it's not going to change, because when she sees her friends, how her parents behave towards her, and I behave differently. And that's, we have to understand, African suicide is different than other cultures. We have our own problems. And when you come to celebrity suicide, they have their own problems why they commit suicides. So we have to look at it. It's different suicide that we're facing. A lot of it comes to within African community. It comes from families back home. If you're an adult committing suicide, maybe you have so much pressure from your family back home. Be money wise, be witchcraft, with so many things. When it comes to a child committing suicide in our community, it comes, a lot of it comes from parenting. They don't want to go home because their parents are very aggressive. They don't want to talk to the parents because they will share. And I recently watched a video of a young child who was trashing things at home and stuff like that, towards regarding remarks that was facing to with the parents. And the mother went online or told people the story, and the child went on social media, exactly explained exactly the issue, what was the issue regarding his behavior towards home. And it just triggered my mind to say, as a parent, you gave birth to this child. It's your responsibility to know exactly what your child going through. And it's, children do many things. Children behave differently, and you have to try to find a solution, not beating them, not, degrading them, not kicking them out of the house. And that has so much impact in our community that others are seeing it. I would not never put my child in a position where my child have to go to counseling, because myself will be or his counseling, because I've been through a lot of my life, that I will know that the part that if my child faces it, some sort of a bullying, some sort of a issues that she's attempted to take her own life, or any other ways, I will know how to confront this behavior, or get help immediate. That this, our parents do not seek help. They just don't. They don't want to seek help. And the minute these things happens, it's about, they reflect back home. It has to be witchcraft things. It has to be this and that. No, sometimes it's just issues people are facing. We live in the pressure society where people are pressured. As a parent, I'm pressured myself, work-wise, friend-wise, social media-wise, surrounding of yourself. You're just so much pressure that, and you come out and then you just don't know what to do. And it's okay. You need to show people that it's okay to seek help. And as a organization, this is what we need. I spoke to Susan that this is what we need to do a lot. I know our people like gathering a lot in churches, gathering a lot in events, is that we need to confront these events and say, look, there is a platform for people who are not feeling okay, are thinking of committing suicide, thinking of so many things. There is a platform where we can help, where we are there, and we will be presentable to help them throughout this process. So on that, I myself, I've been through a lot of trying to commit suicide, of thinking that if I kill myself, everything is gonna be okay. But every single time I fight myself to remove this mentality, I fight myself to remove this thought in my head of a suicide commitment. And you just need to speak to people. You need to speak to people, and we need to put ourselves out there that we can help prevent somebody to commit suicide. We might not, help everybody to commit suicide. It's unprevented issue, because people, if they have to commit suicide, they will commit suicide. But at least if we help one or two people, it's a lot already, and reduces, and we have to get these people, giving the testimonies, bringing them to events and giving the testimony. How did they overcome from this negative thought they have of suicide they had in their head? So, from our parents listening to these events in this thing, that I'll say that we need to invest time of studying the environment that we are. We need to stop behaving, as in we are back home, or as in, see how children behave, study more, you know, try to find a solution of for your own kids, for your own promising and life. So because it's not just kids that we're talking about. I had a friend who were just literally sitting beside her, and she did 3 months she didn't show up in school. And when I asked, they told me that, and she was a mother of a 43, 45 years old, 3 kids. And when I asked about her, oh, she committed suicide. It just like that. It was just like that simple thing. It's like, oh yeah, she committed suicide, and it's not okay. It's saddening to see, somebody to just take your own life, because life is very, very precious thing. And I always say to people, life is very precious thing. And we live in this country. Of course, we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of issues, but you should not be in the point of taking your own life. And the government should do more when it comes to suicide people. If it's about job, if it's about, let's make it easier for people. If they're worrying about jobs, let's make it easier for them to find the employment, and see if that would help. If that's their worrying, if they want to kill themselves, if that will help. So the solution is there. We can link up, find a solution, and trying to help each others from seeing this disaster that people do face when it comes to committing suicide. And a lot of it comes into financially, a lot of issues and things like that. So yeah, I believe we can do it. We can do it if we work together. Referral from a different organization is very, very good. So again, thank you guys for coming up. And there is going to be a lot of events we're going to be hosting. And I would love to see your opinions. I'd love to see you guys on board. It would be very fantastic. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And we are looking forward to seeing you again. We will let everybody to be informed when is our next event. We have an event on the 30th of this month, which is not related to this. It's about we have a new a project that we've been working on for quite a long time, and it's about promoting supporting African businesses, African Caribbean businesses here, Irish-owned businesses here in Ireland. So you can always join us when we have it. It's always going to be live on Facebook. And if you want to come in and contribute, we are gathering a directory list of all African businesses, organizations that are within here. And the main thing is that we become unapologetical about promoting our own businesses, because we feel that we need to build our own economic power, to create job opportunities for our own people, and to have that political power strength. And the only way we can have it is if we start building a good and solid economic power. And we can only do that if people support our businesses. So thank you everyone for this evening and this afternoon, and looking forward to seeing you all again. So thank you so much. So good night, everyone.
Good night, Susu.
I'm going to stop the recording. If you want to stay, you can stay, but because I know some people are going, so I'm going to stop.
Bye, everybody. It's so nice to meet you. Bye, Tracy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Bye-bye.
We appreciate you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, see you later, Susu.
Okay, ọ̀gá ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ kíní Yorùbá yìí o. Ìjọ́ ò la fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀.
August 1 la máa bẹ̀rẹ̀.
Màá bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ before that, so that a lè ṣe preparation sílẹ̀.
But wọ́n ti ní ẹni tó máa ṣe Zoom yẹn níbí ẹ̀ńdàsán mo ti pàdé ẹ̀.
Okay.
Ẹ mọ̀ náà mọ̀ obìnrin ni. So àmà network yín kí ló ń porúkọ ẹ̀? Anyway, mo mọ orúkọ ẹ̀, mo ti gbàgbé ń sẹ́yìn. So àmà network yín pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. Understand me?
Anyway,
so, meeting pẹ̀lú wọn, I had meeting with them on Monday or no, yeah. So we're going to get it. So we're going to do the introduction. We're going to do the introduction on Saturday, August 4th, so that we know how we carry it on, the teachers and involvement with the family, parents, and co. And it's going to help too in our culture, Yoruba culture, so that they will know where they are coming from, so that they will not be thinking of ideating to, because anybody to long poke, so we will let them know. And they, by the time they are getting to know Asha, Ibile, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be Ijinle Yoruba. And so that like you are doing, you can bring it on top, like and many other people want to bring like Tanimo, Kowaso, you know what I'm saying? Then we want to display Asho, okay, all those ones will be going on, will be part of the thing we are going to do.
No
so
problem.
I've had meeting with the Said and this lady, the secretary. Anyway, we are going, so we are not using a sculpture, we are on our own. Okay, in conjunction with you. So you bring your people.
We need to fix a meeting that all the people involved have a meeting, so we know everybody that is involved. We have an agreement. It
and not
has
too
to
many
be
people.
Well, even if it is one person, even if it is one, you understand? We need to have a meeting so that we know this is the people involved, and we meet regularly so that we can update each other what we are doing.
Anyway, we are 4 there now. Me,
that's it. No problem.
Saidi, you, Ati, Kinon Poruko woman, ye, Omojebo de Bani, only secretary.
Anyway, don't worry, just get us that person. The 4 of us should just meet together on Zoom. Can they decide when important, because if you are not well structured, if you are just doing things anyhow, might fall back to us later. Then
yeah, I know. And so because you are in Cavan, you cannot sit up with us.
Zoom TD kini. Worry. Zoom, WhatsApp,
Zoom ti mi ni le ri ẹran koko je lọ́dọ̀ ẹ.
I hear you.
Because it's your love rice.
No, but don't eat it. We must sleep full birthday. We must sleep full birthday.
My second wife. My second wife. Oh.
Okay. Don't even meeting the 5 o'clock. Me, badi ki ma ba yin se yeye yi lo.
Bosa.
See you. Tolulope Olaniyan and JJMK. Guys, thank you so much. What is your feedback, guys?
Absolutely fantastic to have these huge names on the platform. It's always interesting, and we can see now how other organizations are crying out to join or make a collaboration. It's a bonus for our organization at the same time to collaborate with these different organizations and giving us the boost on what we have to do. And it's fantastic. The topic is it's one of the top tough topic, and it's been it was pure.
It's sensitive.
It's sensitive, yeah.
Yes, and it's everybody that chipped in absolutely nailed it, and absolutely nailed it, and gave the thought. And what we can do, as I always say, we can do more by promoting, continuously promoting, because it's endless. It's endless.
And you know that this is a continuous project, so it's not something that is stopping. And one of the I'm coming, sir. Please, just 1 minute. And one of the most important thing about BAM that we are going to be working with is that it's about learning, because they understand how to if you want to take something to the House of Parliament to take all this. They understand the process, and they are totally willing to help us to carry our cases. And they have big names with them, so those names are important. Those and these are professionals in the field as well. So we said from the beginning we need collaboration, because we only had 400 euro for this thing. We don't have any money to do this project at all.
Susu, sorry. Susu, how can we get in with the government? How can we lobby it with the government, like you say, House of Parliament or whatever? This thing we are doing, we put the production there to know that it's affecting us migrants. Because let me tell you something. If you don't push it, the government, even the councillors, the migrant councillors you have, they too, they are technical in their doing. So we who are here, we need to represent ourselves, push something to them. Say, this thing, we need to do something about it. We don't need any more, what's it called? Killing.
Sir, this comes into, because you have to understand that we live in the country of laws, and it comes into, and we know that Irish government love, you have to bring me proof of this, this is happening. So we have a duty of researching, especially our community. Anybody knows anybody, because these things, when Suzanne talks about, this person committed suicide, we don't really hear about this thing. It's not in the media stream or anything like that, and a lot of people are very confidential when it comes to cases like this. So we need to have information that would link us, look, this is the number that our community, committing suicide, and we want to place some sort of community where the government has to fund it, where people will be going out there and trying to help, trying to speak to people, or people will have to come in the office, or having one-on-one conversation. Because at the end of the day, this our own community, we can only understand our own self, because I cannot understand why my friend why committed suicide. They have their own depressions.
Exactly.
They have their own issues, because we as Africans, we've been through a lot. Nothing can break me. If you see me commit suicide, meaning something is really not right. You understand? From what we go through.
But, sorry, sir, but it's not you. These teenagers, these young children. What we are saying, those who are born here or even migrated. I will tell you something. As this thing is very, very terrible. I am listening. I'm on another Zoom saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We have about. I am listening to another Zoom with the same topic.
Yeah.
From people from England, but it's been hosted here.
Yeah.
You might even join it. It's a woman of essence, Pastor Kokola. If you want to join
I was supposed to join them in by 4 because we thought we
I'm there. I have 2 computers here now. I have yours and doctors are speaking here now from England, from here, and it's the same thing to tell you that this is not a joke. We are just laughing. When I saw that lady who did this, my mind just went to my own daughter. I said, "Hey, what are they thinking?" I was afraid. I will tell you something, because you don't know what they could do. But prayer is, because I'm a pastor, I pray. But apart from that, mental things we need to think about. You know what I'm saying? What is the issue? How can we tackle it? Well, that's what I'm saying.
So, see, this is the purpose of all this kind of gathering. We need to gather, that is what JJ was saying. We need to gather data. Already, this project is supported by the county, Meath County. Now,
Okay.
I know that by the time we go back to them, if they see what we did now, by the time we apply, they won't give us that kind of money again. They will give us something.
Sorry, Susan.
Yeah.
And you know, this is absolutely phenomenal to have this big name, you know, organization that's already out there. And we, you know, we have a liaison with them. You know, we can bring them, look, this is the organization that we are, you know, having a liaison with, and they are willing to support us, and we are looking for more funding or more things that will enable us to do what we need to do, or you know, ring bell to our community, so that way people would know, understand that this is not it's a critical thing already, knowing
So
that
some of the things we want to do, one, we want to gather stories. So
Yes.
we are looking for people that is in our own community that it has happened to share their story with us. So
no, that will be difficult. Susan,
oh,
that
we will get
difficult.
it. No,
we
will get it. It's about building trust.
We have to try. We have to try.
We have to try, and it's about building trust.
Yes.
We don't need them to give us the details. They only need to say, "Oh, this happened to me."
Okay.
And this is that. Yeah. So
But
when we
what
gather
of media?
all those kinds.
Sorry, man. What of media? How can the government, like LMETB or whatever, how can they help us with the media processing? You know what I'm saying? So
that is what I'm trying to explain to you, that everything is step by step. First, you will gather a data. So when we gather those stories, we put those stories together as our data, we will do a survey.
Yeah.
So that you can use your survey to back up your application, to say this is because when you apply, they are always asking in those applications, how did you know this is an issue in your community? So we will process those type of survey. Then this type of people that we are working with, that we are hoping to work with now, you know, the more you work with people, the more you gain more experience. It doesn't matter how much experience you have.
That's right.
When you work with people in the line, in that sector, they will give you more experience. And as long as these people, and as long as they are open to share with us, when they will tell us, oh, this is the process, this is how you do it, this is what you put down, because they've done it before. And then they can tell you what to do, and then you know the step to take. That is all we can do, and then we hope for the best.
Absolutely. And our aim is to have more door opens and put our words out there. And you know, it's vital that we you know, work with this organization that already named and already out there, even though they can't help us in small other things, but they can refer us to people that can help, you know. So it's very, very important to have connection with this. And I'm just absolutely fascinated, Suzanne, for the wonderful work that you do, and you
thank God.
bring big names in the platform, you know, and to have doctors or professors who are actually willing to tune in and to participate in this event. It's absolutely phenomenal. So we need to keep that trust, you know. And you know, people, you know, we have to try, or we have to continuously trying, and people slowly will open. You know, our community are so stubborn, you know, but we have no choice but to keep trying.
Yeah, because
we collect
they are our people anyway. What can we do?
Exactly. You know, we have to collect the data and continuously working with young people. You know, of course, people
exactly with young people.
Yeah, they will prefer. You know, we might say young people. We have to understand that we have adults who are actually facing tough times as well. You know,
yeah,
if you as a father,
their mind is not as hardened as the young one.
Yeah, but you see, for you know, a lot as well comes from. We have to understand. Don't forget that a lot comes from you know, you are home and you seeing the reaction of your parents, and that triggers the mind of a child. You understand? Because you know, if a child can see the parents are not stable, they are not comfortable, they are, you know, itching and stuff like that, that can comes into the children. We might be strong.
You are very right too. You are very right.
We have to, you know, because I seen it a lot. I was watching a couple of videos, and a lot of suicide thought from kids comes from the death from their own parents. You know?
Unbalanced parents, maybe
Exactly.
financial, maybe marriage turbulence. I know what you mean, and they cannot cope with it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we are living in a very pressured environment. You know,
Exactly.
I went to the bank one day and I asked for a card for to change to get a, how do you call it, credit card. You know, and the banker himself, he told me, you won't believe how many you know, when we go and collect money from families for mortgage and stuff like that, you won't believe how many parents, men are willing to sacrifice their life for their family to be okay. For the mortgage, just for the
That's
money,
right.
just for the mortgage. He told me, parents are actually sacrificing their life just for the children to be. So we are, you know, Ireland is a very pressuring country. You know, very when it comes to
where are you? Sorry, where are you from?
I'm from Congo, sir.
Okay, you're not Nigeria. Okay, I can see that from your tone. But it's like you are very well cultured. You know the culture and you know the background of Africa. That's good.
Of course. I mean, I left Africa when I was 12, and I go back home every now and then. And from my 0 years to 12 years old, I witnessed a lot of things. You know, I witnessed a lot of things. And you know, when I go back as well, you know, I do see a lot of things. And
that's right.
My mind is always Africa. Whatever I want to do, I want to help youth in Africa.
That's right. That is the basic.
Yes, I want to go back home and invest. I want to go back home and help. I want to, you know, whatever knowledge that I have gained here, what I'm gaining, I want to transmit it back home to show them this is what we can do. This is what we can achieve. You know, I'm sure that none of us wants to stay here all of our life. I don't want to stay in Ireland. I want to go back home, invest, you know, grow, build things.
My brother, if Africa give you the enablement,
of course,
the government, the corrupt government,
but
if they gave you the landing.
Yeah, but yeah, I understand, but you have to look at it. We have to put our heads everywhere, and you know, if we stay here or you keep running away from your problem, that's an issue. You know, nothing will change. You know, there's always one or two people out there willing to help. There's always one or two people, you know, that's everywhere. Even Ireland, we still have it. You know, if you come today and say, I want to be a mayor of Dublin, you have all the qualification. You are sure you are not going to pass unless if you have people out there. You know, you put your head inside there. You know, exactly. So when it comes to
there is always politics.
Exactly. When it comes to money, you know that's why you see a lot of people sacrifice to witchcraft to just get what they want to get, or they have to sacrifice in ritual things to get what they want.
My brother, I will have to join these people now. I'm missing.
Okay, bye everybody.
Thank you, darling. See you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
So Susan, absolutely.
Okay, now.
Hard off on you there. Absolutely extraordinary work that you do and bringing in these people, and I'm always fascinated for your work. Yeah, so you know, we're looking to what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
I'm actually entering into, you know, I told you that I am I've entered into another I've entered into another this thing. So I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay, bye, Tolu. Yeah, we talk later in the evening, yeah?
Okay.
Because I'm speaking.